Surgery is a very scary thing. You are literally putting your life into someone else's hands. And unfortunately, sometimes those hands aren't focused on the task. They're focused on doing some of this. And maybe even a little of this. And God forbid, Lord help us, sometimes even this. What I'm talking about today is the dancing doctor trend. It's kind of dwindled in popularity after some of the doctors participating in it lost their license because of it, which I think is justice served. And in fact, I think that's not far enough. I think if you are a doctor who is compromising the health of their patient because of this dancing trend that you did, you should probably face a little bit more than just the license being revoked. You literally put their life at risk for some clout. Like, that's not an exaggeration to say. Now, this was a bit of a viral trend for a little bit. It actually predates TikTok. It actually was before TikTok, where for some reason some doctors got it in their fucking noodle that this would be like a really quirky, fun marketing thing for their practice, and somehow didn't recognize that this would scare the shit out of people, because no one wants their doctor to be the zany goofball who's going to, you know, fool around during very sensitive surgeries. Would stop to film TikTok videos of them dancing with like pieces of their patients in their hands and using it as props, or just generally dancing or filming skits while operating on a patient. Just imagine that nightmarish scenario. You're about to go unconscious from the anesthesia, and as your eyes are closing, you hear the TikTok 3-second countdown. And when it hits 0, you just go straight to Valhalla. It's such a terrifying thing to think about because surgery is so sensitive. You don't need me to sit here and tell you how dangerous surgery can be. Obviously, if you've developed object permanence, you can fucking recognize that surgery is something that is not to be taken lightly. It's not small potatoes by any means. So when you're going under for a procedure, you would pray that all of the doctors there are on your team, there for you 100% to, you know, fix whatever the problem is or whatever's going on there. But in this trend, it was the exact opposite. It's like they waited for the patient to go to sleep and turned that fucking operating room into a nightclub. Hey, is the idiot asleep? Perfect. Drop the disco ball, bring in the dancing lobsters. Jill, hit it. Where are my boner jams? We're filming a TikTok. And it led to some problems. Now, the one I want to focus on today is a video that actually was very popular a few years ago and is making the rounds again because there is a follow-up to this story that I'd like to get into after showing it to you.
Latoya Arsheen was among the first to see video of Dr. Wendell Boutte making an incision and mugging for the camera while the rap song Cut It played.
I don't want to get DMCA'd, so I'm not letting the song play, but you know how the song goes. You need to cut it. Little acapella for you.
That's Arsheen on the table. Cut It is your song, girlfriend. You did awesome. The photo release form is signed only by a member of Boutte's staff. Where Arsheen was supposed to sign is blank.
I feel disrespected on a lot of levels.
The song's playing here again while they're dancing with a portion of her flesh. This is actual Ed Gein type shit. This is diabolical. That's like something a Dark Souls boss would do. Use flesh as some kind of instrument. That is so disturbing. Like, I don't know what they were expecting with this video when they posted it. Like, did they think this would become like the official music video for Cut It or something going forward? Or like, I don't know how they thought this was a good idea and how they wouldn't get in trouble for it. Like, this is not what you would want your doctors to be doing while you're under. Because then you have to start to question, well, what else did they do that wasn't filmed? Like, I woke up from the surgery and my butt was a little sore. I'm questioning a lot of things now. Like, what's going on? Like, this is only what they filmed. Far more horrible things also could have been happening off camera. And even what happened on camera is unacceptable. It's just so fucked.
Do you think that's your flesh?
I think it is, with the Cut It, the remainder of the song.
Former patients have now come forward with complaints. Arsheen plans legal action not just about the video, but about her results.
How does your body look now?
Disfigured.
So according to her, her body is disfigured as a result of the surgery, and from what I can tell, many other complaints say the same thing, that they had less than stellar results. As you would probably guess, if your doctor was more focused on making TikToks as opposed to the actual surgical procedure they were supposed to be focusing on. You'd probably have better luck getting your surgery done by some mysterious shady goober off the black market. You'd be risking your kidneys, but in a practice like this, you're risking your whole life here, because you might just die on the operating table because they're too busy focusing on hitting like a fat fucking Gangnam Style while you're under on the table. really dated myself on that one because I couldn't think of any of the new dance trends, but you get what I'm saying. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of these do predate TikTok. This one in particular, this happened in 2017 through 2018, and it was posted to YouTube and Instagram. But this trend did persist all the way into TikTok, and I'm sure some of you have seen more recent headlines about some dancing doctors on TikTok that have also faced some repercussions for that, luckily. But this one is, I think, the most shocking one, because they are actually dancing around with pieces of the patient. So, the follow-up to this story is there was a lawsuit launched here, obviously, from former patients of this practice. There's numerous videos of Dr. Wendell Boutte here dancing as their patients are under, and as you've seen, even using them as, or parts of them, as props in the dancing, while she's operating, also dancing. The surgical assistants, everyone who even enters the room just gets hit with this fucking boogie virus and they just can't help but dance for the sake of these videos, all while they're supposed to be doing surgery. She faced numerous lawsuits, all of which I believe have resolved, and she's been ordered to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the victims. She had her medical license suspended, but from what I can tell, it was only suspended for 2.5 years, which means she can legally practice medicine again in Georgia? I actually can't find a follow-up on that, but she wasn't permanently suspended, which I have to raise an eyebrow to. I don't know how this didn't become like a more criminal case where she'd face jail time. Like, I think it is super severe, especially when you look at some of these cases. So, a patient named Silma Cornelius went into her practice, and she was only there for a couple of small things, but was eventually convinced to do bigger procedures, and eventually paid $11,284, and then also had another scheduled cosmetic procedure down the line. So she went back on February 18th of 2016 to return for that cosmetic procedure, and something went wrong. 8 hours into the surgery, after anesthesia was discontinued, and before her lower abdomen had been sutured, she went into cardiac arrest. Paramedics arrived at the scene, and it took 30 minutes to close up her abdomen, and they had to carry her down the stairs because there wasn't an elevator big enough to accommodate a stretcher. And by the time she arrived at the medical center, she was in severe distress, unresponsive, and unable to breathe without a ventilator, and suffered a severe and debilitating catastrophic brain injury, and left her reliant on a feeding tube and around-the-clock care. The quirky dancing doctor was legitimately ruining people's lives, disfiguring them permanently, and in this case, leaving a woman with permanent brain damage. Under no circumstances should she be allowed to practice again. It's not like this is just some kind of freak mistake that she made one time. She had dozens of videos doing this with many victims. Like, this isn't just some kind of whoopsie-daisy that someone makes, like, oh, how was I supposed to know that dancing during surgery and, you know, parading around parts of the patients was a bad idea? Like, what do you mean? This is new information that nobody knew. Like, I couldn't have avoided this. This was truly inevitable. It's fucking ridiculous. I really think she got off very easy in this case. Yes, she was ordered to pay back hundreds of thousands of dollars to some of the victims, but she was also an extremely successful dermatologist. I don't think that hurt her very much. Like, she got off of this, in my opinion, very easy. Now, the anesthesiologist in that Cut It video you just saw also faced some legal problems as well, but he was actually cleared of malpractice last year. In that video I showed you with Cut It playing, Dr. Roland Pinkney was in there dancing as well. He was the anesthesiologist that day, and he was facing some legal issues here, but was ultimately deemed not liable in any way for what the victim had experienced. As a result of this, 100% of the fault was put once again on Wendell, and basically they were arguing that him dancing was not a breach of care. Like, the argument they made ultimately was that it was just him being less than professional, but him being unprofessional doesn't constitute breaching the medical standard of care that he needed to uphold. I have to firmly disagree here. I feel like anyone in that operating room should know that you shouldn't be filming fucking YouTube videos and TikTok dances while you are in the middle of a surgery. Now, in his defense, he was under the impression that the patient consented to having that kind of content made during the procedure. So it does get a little fishy there with exactly what he was aware of. That is a weird thing to consent to. I don't imagine there's many people out there that would be super happy to see themselves under the knife and having their doctors like dance around with their flesh. So that still seems a little odd to me, but ultimately he was found not in violation of that medical standard of care. It was no malpractice on his end was the verdict. But yeah, pretty fucked up situation that I just wanted to talk a little bit about because I dove into it pretty deep today. That's really about it. So yeah. You couldn't even begin to imagine how wacky my day's been. I've spent so long researching one of the most useless topics I've ever invested time into. Celebrity drama, but more specifically, Harry Styles and whether or not he actually spit on Chris Pine. I swear to God, I spent more time studying this phenomenon than I did studying for the SATs back in high school. I don't even know why I've been so captivated by it, but I've truly just been drawn into it, and it's not letting me go. It's just strangling me by the neck like Homer Simpson on Bart. I just cannot get a conclusive answer as to whether or not he actually spit on Chris Pine. Let me go ahead and bring all of you up to speed. Harry Styles and Chris Pine are in a movie coming up called Don't Worry Darling, which has a ton of controversy surrounding it with Olivia Wilde and pretty much the entire cast. But I'm not here to focus on that. I'm here to get to the brass tacks, the really important stuff, the conspiracy side. Whether or not Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine at one of their premiere things yesterday. I showed the clip on stream and gave my take on it. I thought it was pretty obvious that he hawked a loogie on him, just treated him like a fucking human spittoon. This is the video that kicked off everything. This is the patient zero of the conspiracy. As you can see, it looked like Harry Styles spit on Chris's lap, and Chris responds with bewilderment and a bit of shock. My initial response to seeing that clip was, wow, this unhinged goofball just spit on Chris Pine for some reason. And that was the end of it. You know, this whole movie has had a really super silly history to it. In fact, the same day Harry Styles did an interview, and when he was asked what his favorite thing about the movie was, his response was, I shit you not, this is verbatim, his response was, I think, my favorite thing about the movie is that it feels like a movie. And then he continued saying, it feels like a real, go to the theater film movie. The reason why you go to watch something on the big screen. Now, I can't play the interview clip, so I just had to read the transcript here. The interview's obviously copyrighted. But when you listen to it, it sounds like Harry Styles has been fucking lobotomized. Like, it sounds like he's delivering this answer after he's been hit by a tranquilizer dart and he's about to pass out. I've never listened to him talk. I've seen him in a couple movies and he's always been okay. I don't really have any strong opinions on him. But listening to him speak unscripted is painful. It actually just feels like I wandered into the most decrepit bar and I'm listening to a drunk man tell stories. It was bad. But anyway, after seeing the spit clip on stream, I said, yeah, it looks like he just spit on him, no questions asked. I washed my hands of it and that was that. I thought nothing more of it. But then it got posted on my second channel, and on Twitter, they weren't super happy. I got a couple tweets talking about how disappointed they are that I called Harry Styles yucky because of the spit clip, but one in particular stood out to me. One of them said, not moist critical calling Harry Styles yucky for a fake spitting clip. And I sat there scratching my head. I said, you buffoon, you fucking imbecile, what do you mean, fake spit? What is fake spit, like a prop from Party City? Was the saliva acting? Was Chris in on it and the spit wasn't aggressive or disrespectful? It was a publicity stunt? What do you mean, fake spitting incident? I couldn't wrap my head around it because I thought this was a pretty open and shut case because it really does look like Harry Styles purses his lips, fucking lets a loogie rip, and Chris Pine responds by looking down where he was spitting, and he's pretty disgusted or confused by it. So it all seemed to check all the boxes of being legitimately being spit on. I didn't know there was any debate. But even still, I wanted to go a bit further to see, is this like a conspiracy? Have I bought into propaganda? Have I been faked out? Was it actually a magic trick? I didn't get it. But Harry Styles fans, whatever they call themselves, stylers, I have no idea, they were adamant that this was fake, manufactured drama and not real. So I dug a bit deeper, and I found an alternate angle, which I also pulled up on stream, that further confirmed my suspicion that this was real spit. I'll go ahead and play that for you. So here we can see the event through a different lens. We got a totally different vantage point here, and I think this one's even clearer because I really feel like I can see spit travel. So then I did what any sensible man would do and slowed down the clip significantly, and I'm not too sure. Like, now I really don't know if it's spit, because there I didn't feel like I could see it as well. When played at full speed, I am convinced that I can see the spit. I see like a little flash leave Harry Styles' mouth and land on Chris Pine's lap. But I don't know anymore if it's my mind playing tricks on me. It's got me questioning everything I thought I knew about the universe, honestly. Because when I slow down the clip, I can no longer see that flash. Unless, of course, Harry Styles can spit faster than the speed of light. Which, you know, it is a possibility, I suppose. But what makes this even more confusing is the statement that came out, like the official statement to explain this away, did nothing to squash this conspiracy. Because if it's not spit, then why did Chris Pine react that way immediately after the spit would have landed on him? You know, like, nothing really checks out, but here's the official explanation. This is a ridiculous story, a complete fabrication, and the result of an odd online illusion that is clearly deceiving and allows for foolish speculation, Pine's rep said in a statement to Variety. Just to be clear, Harry Styles did not spit on Chris Pine. There is nothing but respect between these two men, and any suggestion otherwise is a blatant attempt to create drama that simply does not exist. This is a dog shit response. I'll just go ahead and give Chris Pine's rep a little free advice. In order to, like, actually squash these rumors, you needed to explain what happened. Because clearly something happened. Chris responded to something. There was some stimulus there that Chris looked down and then had like a confused moment there, you know? So you needed to explain it, which you didn't. You just called everyone fucking stupid, basically. This is ridiculous, and it's an illusion. Even though it's not an illusion, like it's a video we can all see, and it's a little fishy that Harry Styles does something weird with his mouth, and Chris Pine responds to it. You didn't explain anything. You just said, you guys are wrong. Source, trust me, bro. Like, that's it. That's not super helpful here. But luckily, Chris Pine's rep might not be smart enough to explain it, but I saw a couple of theories on Twitter that I'm starting to believe as well. So the leading theory and the explanation I'm starting to subscribe to is that Chris Pine was wondering where his sunglasses went, and when he noticed they were sitting on his lap, he was a little embarrassed and felt silly, which is why he gave that response. And that's a mistake we've all made, like we're looking for something that's right in front of us, or we're looking for something that we're holding. You know, like sometimes I've made the mistake of trying to find my phone, and I'll turn the flashlight on my phone while looking for it, and then I feel like such a fucking idiot when I realize, oh, it's in my hand. And then, you know, you have that eureka moment where you feel stupid, and you have like that kind of response. And that does actually kind of explain it away, because Chris does grab his sunglasses after noticing them, and he does give that like, oh, I'm so forgetful kind of look, that kind of shit. So maybe it's a case of just perfect timing where Harry Styles did some goofy shit with his mouth that looks like he's spitting, and at the same time, Chris Pine just happened to have noticed the sunglasses he was trying to locate were sitting right in his lap, so he's like, ugh. You know, like, oh, I found them. They were right there. I'm so dumb. That kind of shit. But I'm not 100% certain either way. I've spent so much time rewatching these clips. It's fucking crazy. And I still can't fully decide which I believe. I think it's most likely that he didn't spit on him and it's just his reaction to finding the sunglasses he was looking for. But I also don't think it's impossible that he truly did just spit on Chris. There's been so much drama on this movie. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to learn that these two have animosity between them and he just spit on him just to fucking assert dominance and disrespect him publicly. I think both are equally likely, though I lean a little more towards it just being the sunglass thing. But anyway, just wanted to talk about it since I spent so much time researching it. That's about it. See ya. I just watched an extremely interesting case presented by the Law and Crime Trial Network that I just had to share with all of you because it really feels like the plot line to a late 90s soap opera. It's got an evil wife, and let me tell you, she's a real battle axe, and she's hatched a nefarious plan to poison her husband for life insurance money, allegedly. I hate that I have to use the word here because the overwhelming amount of video evidence and everything makes it very clear that that's what was going on, but apparently you gotta say that word when talking about something like this. But anyway, That's not where the whole story stops, because the husband becomes aware of it, but can't act on it right away, so has to continue to play along with the woman that's actively trying to kill him. And then when he eventually takes it to authorities, they initially don't act on it, so then he has to gather even more evidence. It's just so fucking wild, and I just have to show this to all of you, because this really does feel almost make-believe. It feels like something Darman would write if instead of making, you know, don't judge a book by its cover videos, he made murder mysteries.
A military wife is now charged with attempted first-degree homicide after her husband allegedly caught her on camera pouring bleach into his coffee maker. He says it was all to get life insurance benefits.
It really does make me giggle every time allegedly is thrown out in a case like this, where you can actually just watch it happen on the fucking Jumbotron. And especially with this one, because the husband was super thorough with all of the hidden cameras he set up. So you can get like a 360-degree video of all the poisoning attempts. You got every goddamn cinematic angle imaginable, and yet still allegedly poisoning attempts. Again, I fully understand why they have to keep saying that word here, because she hasn't been found guilty in court yet of all of the charges. But I mean, it's pretty clear. The answer to this game of Clue is Feliciano in the kitchen with the bleach and coffee maker. Like, we can tell.
The man, quote, suspected someone was tampering with his coffee, and in May 2023, while still in Germany, he set up a camera in his house. The husband alleged his wife used bleach as a form of poison, storing the chemical under the sink.
This is one of many videos that capture her pouring bleach into his coffee pot. So he became alert to something a bit off about his coffee and suspected tampering with it. And I imagine he was able to taste something was wrong immediately. Bleach is like one of the most agitating chemicals you can ever fucking ingest. Like, coffee is not going to disguise it. It's not like the perfect Trojan horse to deliver bleach into your system. You'd probably take a single sip and immediately go, pooey, yucko, wow, like, ouch. That doesn't taste like coffee, it tastes like fucking poison. You would have better luck shitting into his coffee pot and hoping he doesn't notice. There's at least a chance coffee can mask poop, but not bleach. Like, even if you have no taste buds, you would probably feel something is wrong with your coffee with bleach being mixed into it. So immediately, I imagine, he was tipped off that something was very awry here. So he set up the camera. I don't know if he immediately suspected it was his wife. Maybe he thought there was some kind of like burglar coming in to fuck with him and pour bleach into his coffee pot or something. I don't know if he immediately started to point fingers at his wife. I imagine he probably did, because I mean, who the fuck else is going to break in there and pour coffee or pour bleach into the coffee, unless it's like the Tooth Fairy out for revenge or something. So I don't know how surprised he was to see that, but I still imagine that that was traumatizing to know that the person that you are married to, the person that is the most important person in your life, is actively trying to kill you.
Court documents state that at the time, during May 2023, the husband, quote, stopped drinking the coffee but continued to pretend to drink it as he did not want to make a report of this while in Germany. He said he knew his wife would continue poisoning him and wanted to submit a report while in the US.
This is such an interesting conundrum. So he didn't want to make the report while in Germany and continues to fake drink the coffee, playing a game of pretend here, and then also, I assume, pretending that everything's okay in the marriage between them, even though he knows in the back of his head his fucking wife is trying to kill him. And his wife doesn't know that he knows, so she continues to make attempts to poison him. When I try and picture this situation in my head, I immediately just start thinking about the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but without, like, the guns. So instead of, like, dumping lead at each other, shooting at each other, it's his wife really insisting on trying the coffee. A new recipe, perhaps. So, and he's just like, oh, this is good, very good, but he knows.
1 month later, in late June, the family returned to the United States and was stationed at an Air Force base in Tucson, Arizona. At that point, additional cameras were set up. Video captures Feliciano Johnson pour something into the coffee pot and look over her shoulder to see if anyone is watching. By early July, her husband reported his findings to the Tucson Police Department.
So this ruse continued for over a month, with the husband pretending to keep drinking the coffee, giving his best Oscar-winning acting performance. Honey, this coffee is so good. Wow, delectable. Rubbing his tummy, all of that. I also can't help but wonder if he tried to, like, mess with her a little bit. Not trying to poison her, obviously, but, like, make her believe that the poison was working. Like, did he start faking a sickness or something? Did he start, you know, making it seem as though he was falling ill in order to see how she'd respond? Like, he just, you know, puts a thermometer in his mouth and he's, like, looking real pale and he's like, oh, babe, I don't know what's going on. I'm not feeling too good. Making a bunch of, like, coughing noises to see how she reacts to it, to try and catch her with, like, joy in her eye that her plan is working. Or if he just simply kept drinking this, or pretending to drink the coffee, and his wife must have thought that he was fucking immortal, just legitimately immune to poison. Which is a pretty scary thought, and pretty concerning considering he lived with her and went through this for over a month now, with someone actively trying to murder him. And if she really thought that bleach had no effect on him, like he was just built different, bleach doesn't work, I just would be worried that she'd try other things that maybe he didn't pick up on, or wouldn't have picked up on if it continued, you know what I mean? But anyway, he gathered all this evidence and then he brought it to the authorities.
Showed the officers at the front desk the video, but since you could not clearly see what she was pouring into the coffee maker, the report was taken with no follow-up. At that point, he purchased additional cameras disguised as fire alarms. He set them up in the laundry room and in the kitchen area where the coffee maker was located.
So it wasn't actionable evidence because they couldn't clearly see what she was pouring into the coffee maker. So the guy says, alright, fuck it, check this out then. You need more? I got you with more. So he sets up a ton of cameras, gets every possible angle here. He's got so many cameras set up, he could probably render his whole house in VR with this kind of setup. So he's got everything covered. Now you can clearly see that she's pouring bleach into the coffee maker in certain videos. And he even goes a step further by conducting his own at-home experiments to confirm his theory.
Normal. It smells. I can smell it. I can smell it. Soapy. Tea. You're gonna see purple. Boom.
Science, bitch. Now we're Breaking Bad here. So he's got even more proof, not only with the video evidence of his wife pouring bleach into his coffee pot, but now he is confirming the presence of the bleach in the coffee pot even after having it drained all day and all of that. Now he has an overwhelming amount of proof against his wife.
Feliciano Johnson was caught on camera multiple times, appearing to pour bleach in the laundry room, walking it into the next room, and then pouring it into the coffee maker. After collecting multiple videos that showed her allegedly pouring the bleach into the machine, Feliciano Johnson was arrested on July 18th.
I'm assuming she did all of this while the husband wasn't home because she is pouring the bleach in the laundry room and walking it to the kitchen, so literally walking through the house with bleach in her hand. If the husband ever saw that, she would immediately know that he would know that something is really fucking foul going on here. Why are you transporting bleach around the house? Like, what could possibly be the excuse, you know? Oh, babe, you're home. It's great to see you. What do you mean, why is the bleach in my hand? Oh, actually, I just wanted you to just take a peek at it real quick. Just tell me, does the bleach smell weird? Splash! You know, like, there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room for an excuse on why you're transporting bleach from the laundry room to the coffee maker. So, again, I assume he just wasn't present for it. But then it makes it really interesting watching the footage here because she keeps looking over her shoulder. So it's an interesting look into the human psyche and kind of just basic human instinct, where when you're doing something fucked up, when you're doing something diabolical, for some reason, you just can't help but double check your surroundings to make sure no one's peeking in on you, even when you're completely alone. Anyway, just something I felt like pointing out. Overall, I'm happy to see the husband didn't get poisoned, and I'm happy to see she got arrested and is now facing these charges here. So hopefully justice will be served. I can't imagine a world where all of this evidence is presented and they're like, inconclusive. It's fine. You're overreacting. You're out of order, Buster. Your wife was just making you some real nice coffee with the extra flavor juice to it. So I imagine she will likely face serious time for this. I mean, it's attempted first-degree homicide, apparently, so, or allegedly, excuse me. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story because I just found it to be super fascinating. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah. There is no documentary filmmaker on YouTube more talented than Oki. Every time he uploads, it's just like this wonderful event. So big, even my cat can't help but jump up here and watch some of his content with me. I think Oki's Weird Stories is one of the best channels on YouTube, and he recently uploaded another banger covering a story that I'm sure most people aren't familiar with. So I'm going to show you some clips from that. I am also going to put a link to his YouTube channel and Patreon in the description below. Go support him, please. I think he makes amazing content, and he's just such a great guy. He's super nice. Every time we've talked, he's been nothing but wholesome, and he's got these incredible ideas for the future of his channel, and I just can't wait to see them unfold. So definitely go check out his channel, and if you're feeling inclined to help him reach his goals, then check out his Patreon. It's all below.
Millionaire and computer hacker Daniel Beckwith had dug an elaborate network of tunnels underneath his Bethesda home because he believed North Korea was planning a nuclear attack.
What the fuck?
His body was found after. Daniel Beckwith created a makeshift bunker and had another man help him dig tunnels underneath his Bethesda home. He kept Askia Khafra captive there, and in 2017, that home went up in flames.
Jesus
On September
Christ,
10th, 2017, Askia Khafra died in an electrical fire while digging tunnels for a makeshift nuclear bunker underneath Daniel Beckwith's home. They struggled to navigate through Daniel Beckwith's home because of extreme amounts of debris and trash blocking the way. Before he succumbed to carbon monoxide
sounds like
poisoning,
a 4chan
Askia
home.
was only 2 steps away from almost certain safety, but the hoarding conditions of the home prevented him from making it out alive.
The entire situation is unresolved.
Askia Khafra.
How is it unresolved? This sounds pretty cut and dry. The dude was one of those outrageously unhinged doomsday preppers, like probably a gang stalker as well, thinking the whole world's out to get him and everything's about to end. And he must have fucking snapped and ended up killing him. How the fuck could this be an unresolved case? I mean, I guess we're just at the beginning here, so this is all just like the intro, but to me, like off rip, this sounds like a pretty classic case of someone with one of those mental illnesses just losing control and ending up killing someone.
At a young age, he displayed an aptitude.
Oh, I want to read that. That is some Reddit shit right there. I am a genius, AMA. Just read what I wrote. Just read what I wrote. I came off as sort of cut off. I can get a bit Sheldon-y. I scored the ceiling IQ of 160 plus, standard deviation of 15. Usually, my IQ's usually been estimated in the 170s by my psychologist. Was this on like a Rick and Morty post or something? Jesus Christ.
He was so cringe. Like he was like, "Oh, I'm just like, you know, these psycho, like smart, like serial killer type people. If I want to get into just the craziest thing I ever did, it was."
Hold on, I don't want to read this. I mean, this is the kind of guy that would get made fun of on the board. Is this posted like as satire by him? I don't think so, if he's calling into a random phone show talking about this kind of shit.
And I'm gonna use this air gun to like shoot this raccoon in a cage, and like, you know, this is crazy. Like this is like legit psycho behavior. Like
one of
the most psycho thing he ever did. Sure.
One of the biggest indicators early on that someone's going to end up as some kind of serial killer is animal abuse, like the torturing of small animals and shit. That is a phenomenon that's been studied so many times, and there is a direct correlation between hurting animals when you're young and taking that to people down the line. That is like one of the most cut and dry correlations ever.
Like he wanted to come across as this crazy psycho,
and yet for some reason it still gets like dismissed genius. Pretty often by law enforcement. You guys remember what was his name? Pushin Entertainment? I forgot how to say it now. He's the guy that would torture and kill cats on YouTube. He was a 15-year-old. That kid didn't go to jail. He got investigated. He's not in jail. And it's because they don't take it seriously. It's, oh, it's a kid, you know, it doesn't matter that he was torturing and killing the cats.
He was a strange kid, and that's an understatement, but he had taken a video of himself taking a syringe and extracting synovial fluid from his knee joint, putting it into like a shot glass or a small cup, and then drinking it.
Yeah, this is his computer and his work area.
Yeah, what
so
the
this is
fuck?
basically me standing in the
That's
doorway
worse than
of
Chris
my
Chan
bedroom.
taking a shot of his cum.
He co-opted all of this
Police officers then searched.
Damn, those
room.
penis emails,
Inside,
though.
they found a rifle,
Worth it.
the hood of a fire protection suit, several lockpicks, reverse-engineered ID cards, and keyloggers. They also found a list of social security numbers belonging to faculty members and students.
It was the most filthy, disgusting room I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there was stuff everywhere.
Daniel was arrested and formally charged with 5 counts of property damage, 2 counts of computer fraud, tampering with documents, and illegally possessing a firearm. After that, Daniel took to Reddit to do an Ask Me Anything titled, I'm a 22-year-old who is going to plead guilty to a felony computer hacking charge in 5 days. When someone asked, what did you do? He responded with, I launched a huge, multifaceted attack against my university for nothing but lulz, involving just about every attack.
God, what
in
a
the book.
fucking loser.
I made the university's IT department look like damn fools.
I mean, I guess pretty epic prank. Take that, university. Peak Redditor. I mean, this is some Reddit-ass shit.
Daniel inherited $2.6 million after his mother's death. With that, he began to invest in Bitcoin, and he made a fortune. In a now deleted Reddit comment,
shit.
Daniel thanked the technology board on 4chan, G, for turning him onto Bitcoin as early as 2010. In a Reddit Ask Me Anything,
I am still so fucking mad, and I can't believe this came up in, what was it? It must have been 2012, maybe, yeah, probably 2012. I've mentioned this a million times, and I mention it every time it gets brought up. There was a post on the front page of Reddit that said, I strongly urge you to get into Bitcoin. And then another one like, Bitcoin has just hit $100. And I, as well as pretty much everyone I knew, was like, that's stupid. That's fucking dumb. It's never going over 100. It's worthless. Why would we ever do that? And I didn't put anything into it. God damn. So this was one of... This seems about right, though. This seems like the kind of person that would actually put money into Bitcoin back then. You had to be out of your fucking mind to think it was a good idea. Jesus Christ. Just a random cringe-lord loser doomer on Reddit was one person that just happened to put money into that fucking Bitcoin post. And it paid off.
I actually got a call, and it was an IRS investigator, and they were asking me about his Bitcoin account. They were basically saying that he was in possession of basically like $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin. Around the time of the call, the Bitcoin were like $55,000 of Bitcoin, and he had $1.2 billion worth of them, like, you know, somewhere in the blockchain. That was around the time I found out that he had, you know, hired that kid, and he died, you know, in that tunnel. Working at his house in Bethesda.
On the site was a section dedicated to software developing and investing. One day, while watching the infamous farm Martin Shkreli live stream on the site, he first laid eyes on Daniel Beckwith. Daniel, who used the handle 3-Alarm Lamp Scooter, impressed Askia. Not only did he seem to be friends with Martin Shkreli, but he also claimed to be a multimillionaire investor and hacker.
I still remember I never saw any of those streams, but I remember Martin Shkreli, for a brief period of time, had a whole Discord server that fucking worshipped him. Kai and I went in there one night because we were curious and just wanted to laugh at the clowns that were, for some reason, sucking the dick right off of Shkreli's body. And Martin Shkreli was sleeping on a voice call, and they were freaking out about how lucky they were to hear him sleeping. It was so unbelievably fucking pathetic. God, that whole community was awful. And when he did get arrested, I don't remember exactly what happened, but they were like, no, this is outrageous. He didn't do anything wrong. Oh my God, this is blasphemous. Fucking crying, losing their mind over it. It was a cult. Martin Shkreli's Farmer Bro, he's the guy that did like the 10,000% price hike on, fuck, what was it? What drug was it? I don't remember now. Was it insulin? Yeah, I think it was insulin.
And I remember him saying that, you know, I thought it was kind of odd. Like, oh, interesting, this guy's a bunker. You know, what do you have a bunker for? And I remember him saying, you know, I've been building this for a while. You know, it's just to keep myself protected and safe in case of a nuclear war or nuclear disaster.
With Daniel's
fucking
funding,
huge
they
red
bought
flag.
brand new tailored suits
Wow.
in preparation for their meeting with the Teal Fellowship manager. All they had to do was make it to the meeting on time and make a great pitch. But unfortunately, that didn't end up happening.
I don't remember how, but we somehow end up putting in the wrong address. But we end up going to the wrong location. At that point, we're just like, we're just freaking out. We don't know what to do. And we get to the meeting and we're about maybe 15 minutes late.
Why a red flag? He isn't wrong. Is that bait? Hey, excuse me. I've got to go back down to my bunker for my canned food just in case of a nuclear war breaking out real quick. Are you serious? That has to be bait. That's like actual gang stalking behavior. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. I think there's a level to it. When you're building an underground network of tunnels and a bunker because you're afraid of a nuclear war going down at any minute, that is a mental illness.
I'd literally...
Oh my god. I can't tell what's bait and what's not. I don't think that's crazy. There's nothing wrong with being generally anxious about things. I have a flying phobia. It's irrational, and I recognize that, but it's a phobia, right? I think that's totally fine to be like, I have a fear of nuclear bombs going off at some point. But then it has to be this barrier, like this filter in your mind where it's like, that is a little irrational. Maybe I shouldn't build a fucking multi-million-dollar bunker because I'm afraid of this disaster happening. And maybe I shouldn't be wearing a bulletproof vest anytime I'm out in public. It's not crazy at all. Do you go outside in a bulletproof vest every day? Might be multi-purpose bunkers also work for general apocalypse scenarios. What in the world is wrong with you? What do you mean? There is a problem when your entire life is revolving around a fear. So much so that you're building a bunker to avoid the imaginary boogeyman of an apocalyptic scenario unfolding where you need this bunker to be the last human being on Earth with your canned food and prepping and wearing a bulletproof vest anytime you're out in public. That's not even a hot take. That's just... that is a problem. I get shit for being afraid of going on a plane, and rightfully so. I get that it's irrational. How in the fucking world can you possibly try and justify a man spending so much on this bunker and wearing his bulletproof vest out in public, and then eventually hiring this man to dig out the underneath of his house for an underground network of tunnels because he's afraid of North Korea nuclear bombing his house? That is like schizophrenic behavior. That goes above gang stalking.
He asked me to stop the car and he jumped out the car and went by somebody. He came home afterwards, you know. But you see, you also, as a father, you have to be careful that you run off a child permanently. Many things I told him, he would rebut it and tell me Beckwith was competent at that, Beckwith was competent at that. It was like Beckwith was a Superman. It was so...
It's crazy what you can ignore when you have that much respect for someone.
I remember definitely the first time around, I just started screaming to all the neighbors, you know, help, help, fire, fire.
What were you thinking was going to happen to him at that point?
I was hoping he'd either run out there or he'd go out the back window.
This big window
Big
here.
window there, or the window well.
Well, this one's got bars on it.
Well, that's not the window. Yeah, that one does have bars on it on the side. I don't think he could get out there. That doesn't have
He put bars on his... Well, of course he put bars on his windows. He's got a fucking bunker and tunnel system.
And then there's that window
for
well
nuclear war.
I thought he also could have got out there.
Of course he barred his windows.
Well, preferably, he would have just gone down into the tunnels and gone out the backyard.
Why didn't he do the obvious? Come to my voice. I am on the safe side of the basement. There's not much smoke on my side. There was a door there. He indicated that he went...
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think this is absolutely
so
a murder.
Why wasn't it possible?
I completely agree with the dad here.
Daniel said that he tried to get inside the house to save Askia a total of 4 times, but that he was driven back by the overwhelming heat. During his attempts to enter the house, he said that he removed a propane tank, gas cans, and other combustibles.
On the way out, you told me originally that you took a couple of gas cans.
Yeah,
but I never found those.
Well, one was supposed to be in the front yard and the other was on the side.
Okay, so I didn't get that. So
somebody might have walked off with them. Jeez.
Okay.
I'm no expert here, but this looks like some absolutely fucking terrible acting that I'd see in like a bad Hulu original like The Grim Cuddy. What? Someone must have walked off with one of the gas cans that I was put in the front yard? Jeez.
He said that
I will say, and before we continue, people are asking, well, why would he kill him? Clearly this guy is unhinged. I think that much is very obvious. He's very worried that everyone's out to get him. He wears the bulletproof vest when he's out in public. He duct tapes Askia's eyes, or, well, blindfolded him to get him to the tunnels. Duct tapes his eyes so that way he's blind when he goes outside for fresh air because he's afraid Askia may turn on him at some point and tell people where his bunker is. So I think what may have happened is he got this fucked up idea that Askia was plotting to reveal his location or turn against him, and he killed him for it. That would be my guess. How in the...
I could have picked him up and taken him. I was so close. Well...
How could anyone watch this and think for even 1 second this wasn't a murder? That is not how anyone would respond to a situation like this. No, this is like worse than YouTuber apology level acting. Naturally.
I think the screwed up part about it is even if, you know, we got what we wanted, like if he was put away for life, that would only be a semblance of what I feel like we could consider justice, because it's not going to change the fact that Askia is gone. You know,
never does, but
we can't.
At the very least, it gets this guy
been denied
out
the rest of his life because of somebody else's.
Then he can't do it to anyone else. Because I mean, according so far to the story, Askia wasn't the only person, right? He mentioned, was it the Dick Rocket guy? Someone else had also worked on the tunnels. It wasn't just Askia that Beckwith had convinced to lend aid to. And then there was also the construction worker that we didn't get to hear from, but it wasn't just Askia. The unfortunate name, well, not an unfortunate name, Dick Rocket's a fucking hype name. Just unfortunate in the situation here because it's a super sad story.
Daniel, I'm gonna put a measuring cup full of money out on the front porch so we've got it on the way out, okay?
This place is so creepy, yeah. Because he was just a filthy, hoarding lunatic. So, okay, this is a misconception going on right now. He's not a billionaire. He had $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, but it doesn't seem like he ever cashed it out. So I believe, according Oki said, at the time of this, he had about 16 million in actual cash. But he had the $1 billion worth of Bitcoin somewhere that he never cashed it out. So he's not actually a billionaire if he doesn't have access to it. And it looks like he never cashed it out. But yeah, multi-millionaire. Very, very wealthy.
Right now, 2 more stories you need to know about as we head into this week. A bizarre case will finally come to an end tomorrow. Daniel Beckwith is set to be sentenced.
Now, I want to let you know,
that is great news.
Murder. The judge at the sentencing gave him 9 years. 1 less than the minimum. Gave him 9 years. And
what the fuck is the point in having a minimum sentencing when it comes to a crime? What the fuck? The reason the minimum is there is that it's not supposed to go lower. How can you just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna disregard that? I don't... What? How does that make any sense? I don't think he paid off the judge. It doesn't seem like he had access to his money. That makes no fucking... It's a goddamn law. Like by giving less than the law dictated minimum, wouldn't that be breaking the law from her? What? Can that happen?
What about my feelings? Don't I matter? You know? You are praising this gentleman who did a criminal act, who 12 jurors believe committed.
Okay, how about this? Even if he didn't kill him on purpose, which I really do still feel he did, what the fuck does he offer society? He walks around in a bulletproof vest and hires people to work on an underground bunker in complete secrecy, blindfolding them, refusing to let them outside with their eyes open without giving them duct tape glasses, and just sits in his fucking hoarded, shit-stained, diaper-filled house. What is he offering to society? But he doesn't even offer money. He doesn't spend his money. Half of his money was in fucking measuring glasses. He doesn't even fucking spend it. That makes no sense. That actually makes no sense. Now I am starting to believe the conspiracy that he did somehow pay off someone somewhere. That makes no sense. No sense. Even if, again, you don't find him guilty of killing on purpose, or what was he charged with? The depraved heart manslaughter? I'm getting charges mixed up. Even if you don't find him guilty of that, saying that he has a lot to offer society, so I'm not going to give him the minimum. But he, for the last fucking 20 years, has done nothing but live in a hoarder's house and build an underground network of tunnels because he's afraid of a nuclear fallout. Jesus Christ. But I'm starting to believe more in the briberies thing. Because, again, he had tons of money. He never spent any of his money. Maybe he dumped it all at once into this.
Why was Daniel able to enter the basement several times during the fire and roam freely enough to remove gas canisters?
That's a great fucking question.
I also don't understand why Daniel told him to escape through windows, which mostly had steel bars on them.
And that's what the father
instead
mentioned.
Of directing Askia safely to one of the doors that he testified he had used repeatedly.
I don't know, it was probably like years later that it really hit me that I'm not gonna see.
What a great fucking point here. I actually didn't even think about this one. Because he did confirm he went down there multiple times. He even said he removed those gas canisters, and that's in that interview. He's like, oh, one of the gas canisters should be on the front lawn. He's like, it wasn't there. Oh, geez. I mean, maybe someone must have taken it. That is a great point. If his exit was blocked by so much hoarding debris, how the fuck could Daniel go move around in there, maneuver things, and freely just take some shit out? And again, guiding him to a window instead of just saying, hey, come with me to the door, that he is using repeatedly. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he never made me feel like I was a loner, like an outcast.
Like I said, his earnest home in a box. That box has been there for 5 years. It has not been touched. It's in the same position. We have a pit there, a kind of shrine for him, with a large photo of him in his ROTC uniform and, you know, something saying, love you to the moon and back. And there can be no closure.
No, there never is in something like that, man. Jesus Christ. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And as always, until next time.
That's all you need to know now.
Best documentary maker on YouTube, man. Oki kills it every time. If you're a fan of documentaries, absolutely go support his Patreon. Absolute bangers, nothing but. And he's a great guy. Man, that video made me mad, though. Not because of Oki. The story made me mad. That is very frustrating. I remember growing up, there was always a bit of a panic every Halloween about the safety of the candy you get while trick-or-treating, with things like razor blades in apples, that legend that was floating around a lot back then, and then also the contamination potential of someone sneaking drugs into your Hershey's bar. There was this fear that would circulate that some scoundrels might lace the Three Musketeers bars with crack weed amphetamine, a chimera cocktail drug of everything naughty. And, you know, have my mom come down shaking me like, Charles, be careful of the candy tonight. Take this testing kit with you. If it turns blue, call your uncle so he can come smoke it. Like, there was just this bit of fear that maybe the candy wasn't safe because of drugs or something that was being put into it. And most people, as they got older, they started to recognize how unlikely that was, because drugs are expensive, and it's not very common for someone to just give out a bunch of drugs for free. That just makes them lose a ton of money. Like, I'm sure there are some cases where it's happened, and I do remember a few very weird ones over the years, but in those cases that I can recall, it was like drug-laced candy that was meant to be sold to buyers, like, inconspicuously. It wasn't meant to just be given out willy-nilly, loosey-goosey on Halloween or something like that. However, what just happened in New Zealand has reopened an old wound here from when I was a kid about, like, being afraid that there might be drugs in candy. Because a New Zealand charity gave out lollipops that were laced with methamphetamine. And not just, like, little tiddlywinks of meth that were found in the lollipop. We're talking a fucking wumbo-sized amount of meth, potentially lethal. 3 people sought medical attention, and it seems like they're going to be okay, at least as we've been told right now. But potentially hundreds of people were exposed to this from this New Zealand charity giving them away. Now, of course, they didn't do it on purpose. This wasn't by design. They weren't sitting there doing this about their plan coming together to introduce meth to a few hundred people.
Importantly, the mission only accepts commercially manufactured food for inclusion in our food parcels, and the lollies appeared as such when they were donated.
As she just explained, the candy that they received was made to look like a real commercial brand. It wasn't some like knockoff or bootleg that was made in the back of a Ford Fiesta or anything. It was individually wrapped pineapple flavored boiled sweets that were made to look like it came from the Malaysian confectionery brand Rinda. Spoiler alert, they weren't actually pineapple flavored boiled sweets from Rinda. They were donated by a member of the public, and they weren't even candy at all. They were small blocks of meth, each weighing about 3 grams and packing up to 300 doses, which is potentially lethal. The charity explains that they only accept commercially manufactured goods because it's probably dangerous to just be taking in someone's home recipe. You know, maybe it wasn't prepared properly and it makes someone sick, then all of a sudden you've got a big problem on your hand. So they only accept commercially manufactured goods. And in this case, that's what they thought they were getting, but it was actually just a ruse. It was disguised to look like that, but it was actually just meth. Now, when I was initially learning about this story, I started scratching my head wondering, why would they even be taking in individual pieces of candy? Like, that seems kind of dangerous in and of itself, because even if the candy's not laced with lethal amounts of meth, that candy could still be all kinds of fucked. Just imagine some goober's walking down the sidewalk and he sees like a Jolly Rancher tucked away in the dirt next to some crops that he was spraying with pesticides, and he goes, "Oh, Jolly Rancher. Well, I'm not really hungry right now, but I'm sure someone would like to eat this, so I'll go ahead and donate it." Like, that's still probably going to get someone sick, right? Like, it's not like well taken care of food, so taking in like individual pieces of food seems like it'd be suboptimal. However, that's not what the charity does. This candy came to them in a sealed bag that looked like it came directly from the commercial manufacturer. They had no reason to suspect it had been tampered with at all because it was fresh out of the package. It's just not something you'd think of. There was nothing suspicious about it. It was a sealed retail package. So they didn't think to test it or anything.
Early yesterday afternoon, we received an alert of concern by a food parcel recipient who said that they had tried funny tasting lollies and wanted to let us know. They took the lollies still on site to the New Zealand Drug Foundation, whom we have a very good and close working relationship with. Tests confirmed immediately that the lollies contained, and this is very important, potentially lethal levels of methamphetamine.
From the sound of things, this could have been a lot worse if someone concerned after eating it didn't contact them. That person just may have saved lives by informing the charity that this lollipop that they had received, or no, it's not a lollipop. New Zealand slang is always so interesting to me because a sweet they just call a lolly. So it's not a lollipop, it's just like a little piece of candy. So they had this piece of candy, and it was funky, right? You know, there was something fishy there. So they reported it to the charity, who then investigated and concluded that this shit's fucked. We gotta get this off the shelves ASAP.
To the best of information that we have at the moment, that is a group of people that is somewhere between 300 to 400 people that we began contacting last night.
It is a lot of people exposed to potentially lethal amounts of meth. Now, from the reports I've read here, it seems like since it was just chunks of meth, most people wouldn't just muscle through the whole thing. They wouldn't just eat the candy and be like, "Oh, this tastes like shit, but I'm gonna finish it." You know, they wouldn't take it like a challenge run in Elden Ring or something that they just pushed through. So from what I've read of the reports, most people who were exposed to the candy spit it out immediately. But because the dosage of meth was so high, even that like split second it spent in their mouth opened them up to a lot of symptoms. And 3 people had symptoms that were so bad they sought out medical attention, and luckily they've all been discharged now. I imagine there's more of this contaminated candy out there. It's just a matter of tracking it down, which the authorities are doing right now. They're trying to locate all of these pieces of candy, and it's very reminiscent of what happened here in the States with the Tylenol murders, if any of you remember that. I imagine most of you remember that because we still feel the effects of that today. It's the reason why food safety is taken so seriously. So when those douchebags on TikTok used to go around licking ice cream, they got slapped. Like, it's a very serious thing, food contamination. A long time ago, there was contaminated Tylenol that was just cyanide, and some people who took a Tylenol died because it was cyanide. And it led to a huge overhaul of the safety precautions taken around the industry. And I really get a similar vibe to this story here from New Zealand. So this food bank gets this contaminated candy and they start distributing it to a lot of people. That opens up a lot of people to potentially dying from meth. Now in the Tylenol murders case, it was someone, or even a couple of people potentially, that deliberately went around switching Tylenol capsules with cyanide and putting them back on the shelf. They were deliberately trying to kill people with it. And I really think in this case as well, this isn't something that happens by accident. This amount of candy with this amount of meth, this doesn't seem like something that could just go awry, you know, like, oh, oops-a-daisy, I meant to donate the real candy, not my blocks of pure fucking methamphetamine. I had it right next to my blocks of uranium and I was just getting really confused and I just sent the wrong thing. This seems like someone that was trying to hurt people, in my opinion.
In terms of our concern at the moment, we are concerned that there are more of these substances out there. We note that disguising substances as something else to smuggle it into another area is common internationally. So we are not sure at this stage whether that is just contained within the city mission or whether people outside of this have these lollies as well.
That is absolutely something to consider as well, that maybe this wasn't deliberately put out there to hurt people. This could be people that were trying to smuggle drugs into the country and it ended up at the food bank. Because it is common when people are smuggling drugs in that they put them in all kinds of different, you know, packaging, and they change the look of them. They get very creative when it comes to smuggling drugs, even outside of just like the prison wallet with them like sticking coke up their butthole and all of that, like deep in their colon. They'll have like drugs that are put into like hairbrushes and made to look like the actual bristles. Like there's all kinds of like really creative things people do when it comes to smuggling drugs. So maybe these candies were just meant to get the meth into the country and was never meant to just be distributed to hundreds of people. Because again, that is like, it's a huge amount of money they lost doing that. But the reason that I feel like it was probably deliberate is because it'd be really hard to somehow get those drugs into the country in this disguise and then forget about it and donate them. That just doesn't, to me, that just doesn't compute. Like, I feel like if they went through the effort of individually wrapping all of this meth to look like this commercially manufactured candy, why would they then donate it? Like, how would they misplace it or get it confused and start donating it? You know what I mean? And right now, authorities are investigating to see whether or not it was donated to the food bank on purpose or by accident. If it was intentionally sent there or if it just wound up there by pure chance, just happenstance, and then ended up getting donated. So maybe my perspective on all of this is just tainted because of the Tylenol murders, where I'm just assuming that anything that's this level of contaminated product is done deliberately to cause chaos and harm.
Police will also be investigating the origin of the methamphetamine, and there is a perception that it has been imported into New Zealand. We are aware of 3 people that have sought medical assistance as a result. None are currently in hospital.
The police are currently trying to figure out the origins of the drugs, as well as recovering all of them that might still be out there. They've apparently recovered 16 pieces so far, and then it's still unclear how many had been accidentally distributed. It could have been 1 packet containing 20 to 30 individually wrapped pieces, or 2 or 3 packets. They don't know yet, but they're trying to get it all taken as quickly as possible so that way more people don't, fall ill to it. If anyone from New Zealand is watching this, I would advise maybe just avoid the pineapple-flavored boiled sweets for a little bit, just to err on the side of caution. You know, I'm not an expert or anything, but it might be better to just be safe, you know? You could probably go a little bit without the pineapple-flavored boiled sweets to avoid just eating meth, you know? So, yeah. Hopefully nobody else, you know, gets this contaminated candy. And, yeah, hopefully everyone who has consumed it doesn't face any, like, long-lasting problems or anything from it. That's about it. See ya. Today I went on a bit of a journey. I had a 2-hour road trip ahead of me, which for pretty much every sensible human being doesn't sound like a lot. But for a little troglodyte goblin like me who very rarely leaves his hidey hole here, and I never really venture past the immediate Tampa area, this was like the Oregon Trail for me. 2 hours may as well have been like a full-blown expedition here, like complete with rations and everything. And at the beginning of that 2-hour trip, I saw this video floating around on Twitter about a streamer having an argument with his girlfriend over something really confusingly silly. Even when we got to our destination and finished our task, completed the quest, and drove back, I still had it like in the back of my noodle here, just kind of jumbling around in my noggin because it's so baffling that this argument ever even happened in the first place. Like, if this was written into a movie's plot, I'd say that's AI-generated gobbledygook because no one would ever argue about something so stupid.
Hey guys, it's Riley. Oh my god.
Riley never told me about this, bro. She never told me about this. This is news to me right now.
It's Riley.
I'm doing a little talk show.
Damn, she hiding stuff from me. Bro, she never told me about this. I'm surprised. I'm like, what the fuck? I never heard about it. I thought she would tell me something like this.
But why though? It's a totally innocent YouTube video she made 10 years ago with her friends in high school. It's not like he just stumbled across something important. It's not like he learned some life-ruining information about his significant other here where he found out that her secret identity is Jack the Ripper and she's some kind of serial killer. It's not like he even stumbled across something like she is a former adult film star that she hid from him. Like, he found her hidden OnlyFans where she was casting forbidden jutsu with her butthole for $5 on OnlyFans or whatever. It was nothing like that. It's literally just like a single YouTube video she made with her friends in high school that was seen by like 300 people. I think it had like 300 views, but I imagine a lot of that came from his community going over to it. Realistically, it was probably seen by only like 2 or 3 people in the immediate friend circle of that group, and then left to die, just buried in the YouTube dusty library of videos that never ever see the light of day again. But somehow, someone in chat, like an archaeologist, cleaned off this fossil and submitted it to him as like a, brother, look at this. Did you know she made a YouTube video 10 years ago? And he seems so disturbed by it. And the chat starts enabling this insecurity saying, damn, she's hiding things from you. Like, what do you mean? This is like the most innocent YouTube video ever. We're in a day and age where pretty much everyone you interact with on a daily basis has a digital footprint. Everyone is filming themselves in every aspect of their life all the time and uploading it. It'd be more uncommon to find someone that's just off the grid and has no Instagram videos or YouTube videos, TikTok videos, something like that in their past.
She was on a YouTube video? She never told me this? I'm finna crash out. This is wild. Yeah, bro, she never told me this. Yeah, how are you not gonna tell me you did? Oh, so convenient. You're on speaker. You're on speaker now, by the way. But that's weird. That's weird that you never told me this.
I literally forgot about that. I don't know how they found that. I totally forgot about that.
It's more weird that you would want to know that. It's totally understandable that you would forget filming a single YouTube video, even a couple of YouTube videos, 10 fucking years ago if it never took off. Like, what do you mean? This isn't some kind of like, oh my god, I'm dating a lying harpy. I'm dating a charlatan. Like, this is, like, the YouTube video is legitimately a nothing burger, and he's blowing this way out of proportion. He calls her up like it's some kind of emergency, like, I saw what you were trying to hide from me. You filmed a YouTube video 10 years ago with your friends, didn't you? You had your own little podcast at one point, huh? Oh, I can't. I've never been so hurt in my life. How could you have lied to me and kept this information a secret? Like, this is something you would forget about, like 100%. I don't understand, like, how this could even be an issue. That just feels like complete insecurity or maybe like this desire for him to know like every single aspect of everything she's ever done? I don't really know. That's why I'm saying I can't really wrap my head around how this could even become an issue. This would be one of those things like, if a chatter linked it, it'd be more concerning how they found it, A, and B, it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Haha, I mean, what a goofy little find. Like, it's not a big deal, no matter how you spin it. And yet, somehow he found a way to make it a big deal.
Interesting. I'm surprised you didn't tell me this. What do you mean, thanks? I'm surprised you never told me this. This is crazy. I gotta find this out from the chat.
This is really embarrassing. Thanks.
It's embarrassing for her, not me.
Why would that be embarrassing for you? What kind of delusional fantasy land are you getting bullied in? What do you mean? Like, who's gonna start shooting spitballs at you and throwing tomatoes? Boo! This guy stinks! 10 years ago, his girlfriend filmed a YouTube video once. Like, I don't understand. Oh, God, look, jeepers creepers, guys. I can't eat. I can't sleep. My girlfriend made a YouTube video 10 years ago. Yeah, so anyway, I broke up with her.
I didn't explain myself, which is really fucking annoying.
Why wouldn't you tell me about that?
First of all, I totally forgot about that. You could
That's
look
convenient.
It was so long ago. We never made it a serious thing. We filmed like 2 things.
We started 10 Talks together, and we like talked about being on the podcast, and you were like, "I've never done anything like this before."
That wasn't
so
a
it's like people are saying like, "Oh, Yuri, why are you making a big deal?" What's a big deal is it feels like I've been lied to. That's what it feels like.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
How is that in any way construed as her lying to you? About what? Do you also need her high school report card so you can check each individual grade in every subject? Like, if it turns out she flunked out of chemistry in her sophomore year of high school, are you going to say that she's a liar for not telling you that she's bad at chemistry or something? Like, what? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. It's entirely reasonable that she would have forgot about this, given it was 10 years ago, basically. And according to her, they only filmed, like, 2 videos, and it wasn't even, like, a podcast or anything. They just, like, talked at a camera, it seems, about nothing, really. Like, I tried so hard to figure out what there is to even be hurt by in this situation here, or what, like, you could feel betrayed by, and I just don't get it. He tries to say, like, they filmed something together and she said it was her first time doing a podcast, which seems to be a truthful statement regardless of this unearthed YouTube video, because this was just her friends sitting down talking about nothing. And it's very understandable that that's something that would have 100% slipped their mind, since they never made a series out of it. They never did anything with it past like 1 or 2 videos 10 years ago, a decade ago.
I wasn't lying to you. I genuinely forgot about it because it was never a serious thing.
I don't even know who those people are.
That's my friend Karina.
Cool.
And that's my friend Dalton, my gay friend Dalton. You could clearly
yeah, obviously, but I'm glad I'm learning this through someone in the chat 4 years later into our relationship.
I don't even know how they fucking found that. I didn't even know that was out there.
So you're relying on the fact that I would not find that out.
How am I lying?
No, I'm saying you're relying on the fact that I would not find that out.
Why is it a big deal?
It's not. But
stupid video.
But you're like, oh, I can't believe you found that out. You should have never seen that.
When did I ever say that?
Yeah, now he's really reaching deep into his asshole to pull things out to be upset about. He's fighting ghosts. He's having an argument with an imaginary enemy in his own mind here. Like, it's not like she was relying on the fact that you'd never find this. This is something that she would never be thinking about in the first place, because it is absolutely just not a big deal. And the fact that you did see it is not a big deal either. Like, at all. I don't know why he starts, like, questioning her, like, I don't even know who those people are. It's like, well, yeah, you probably don't. It was 10 years ago, and I'm guessing they're not friends 10 years after high school, right? Like, it's just not that deep. Like, it's not hiding something from you. It's just like, who cares about it? Like, why is that something she'd ever think to bring up? Like, sitting you down, listen, we need to have a serious talk. I made a YouTube video 10 years ago. No, there was nothing like bad about it. We just actually talked about nothing, but I needed you to know. I filmed a YouTube video once. Like, what's the conversation even supposed to look like there? It's it's a profound nothing sandwich here. There is nothing to be upset about. And yet he is still going on and on about it. I won't show you too much more. I'll just go ahead and show you how it ends, where he just decides to end stream in a bad mood about it, mad at her.
I don't understand how you just don't remember, like, oh yeah, we did this thing before.
I'm not thinking
it's not like
wasn't a series. I was never on a podcast. Okay. I was never doing YouTube like that. I made a video before on YouTube.
Bruh. I'm just gonna stream, guys.
That's so stupid.
Everyone have a good night. Peace.
No.
She's absolutely right. That is so stupid. I couldn't believe the argument that I had listened to here, so I just had to talk about it. That's really about it. So yeah. Obsession is a powerful, scary force that can lead previously sane people to do insane things, to commit unspeakable acts. The act I want to talk about today from an obsessed individual is not unspeakable. In fact, I really want to speak about it, though it is heinous. It is extremely weird, and I can't help but discuss this with all of you. Like I mentioned, obsession is a horrible thing. When it comes to an obsession, it's a lot like playing a game of suck a fart out of Charlie's butt. There are no winners. And that couldn't be more true than with this story here. So there is a hardcore band named Llorona, and yesterday they posted an announcement letting the fans know that an integral member of the band was kicked out because they hatched a nefarious scheme to steal one of the other members' fiancés. And the way that they did this was by secretly lacing their pre-workout with estrogen with the goal of making that bandmate seem less manly in comparison to him. Thus, the fiancé would be more attracted to him, the more masculine guy, and leave her fiancé for him. It's a mind-boggling plan. And at first I thought it was fake. So I actually learned about it on stream last night, and then I waited till today to see if there was, like, you know, a reveal that it was all just a joke, a ruse, and it got debunked today. But that hasn't been the case. In fact, there's been more evidence here from Llorona's Instagram story, apparently. I saw these screenshots floating around. There's also been a lot of articles that have been written about this that I believe are saying it's all real, at least based on what they've been able to gather. So these screenshots... I'm sorry guys, the Rigid project is over due to me saying some uncomfortable and disrespectful things to Six and Caroline, such as giving Six estrogen and being obsessed with Caroline and hating Six while I was drunk. I've been kicked out of Llorona as well and will no longer be in the scene. This appears to be some kind of group chat where he admitted all of this in, and I don't know who Zach is there, but he seems like a menace. I can't tell if this is sarcastic or not, but he says, "Damn son, blank scene sucks, Nashville welcomes you with open arms." So I don't know if he just views this as not a big deal. He's like, oh, what a bunch of hooey. They suck over there anyway. Coming over to Nashville. We don't care about you lacing pre-workout with estrogen. You can drug us all the time. Who gives a fuck? Bring that talent to Nashville ASAP, mister. Get on over here. So I'm guessing maybe he's going to relocate to Nashville and probably go from lacing shit with estrogen to lacing it with fentanyl. But there's another bit of information there at the bottom right. I was really drunk and told Six and his fiancé that I was obsessed with her and had a deep hatred for Six and gave Six estrogen to get an edge up on him. So it seems like this is a real situation that happened, and it'd be an odd thing to joke about considering Llorona is no longer a band at the moment because this was their vocalist. Now they need to find somebody else. Now I'll go ahead and play the stream clips where I go over their official statement and learn about it in real time because, man, this is a fucking crazy situation, for sure. Did you hear about that guy who got kicked from his band because he was lacing someone's pre-workout with estrogen so he could steal his girl by looking more manly? That's Galaxy Brain. How can I find that? Who is it? What a supervillain scheme. Who? There's no way I'm gonna find that by typing in. Who was it? Lorna Shore? No. Wait, no. It was one of the Lorna Shore band members? Nuh-uh. I don't believe that. Yeah, no, nothing came up for that. So who was it? Was that recent? I don't know, this man just dropped like a fucking fire little wisdom nugget there and then left. Who was it? Tell me the name of the guy, I want to see it. That sounds amazing. This guy's an estrogenius. True, man, this guy's got the fucking the hookup here. The plug for great stories. It's all over the r/hardcore subreddit. Okay. Well, it should be super easy to just tell me who it is then. Why am I going on a scavenger hunt? Just fucking tell me. But fine. I'll go on the hardcore subreddit. The #1 post on r/hardcore is trying to teach my son how to brush his teeth. What the fuck? What the fuck? That is absolutely not it. I'm on a wild goose chase. Alright, now I'm super cute. Why is this here in the hardcore subreddit? Why is it why is this here? You gotta make sure you brush all your teeth in your mouth from front to the back and side to the fucking side. Open this shit up, let's go. I got it, okay. They're called Llorona. Oh, okay. I thought he put Lorna. So the band is called Llorona. The war on gingivitis is hardcore. So true, brother. So true. Just search Yarona HC on HC Instagram on Google. We have decided to part ways with our vocalist Diego due to admission of very disturbing and concerning behavior towards one of our band members and their partner. He is admitted to being obsessed with said partner and has been attempting to sabotage their relationship by cutting pre-workout he frequently gives from his job with high amounts of estrogen in them. He has been attempting to force a transition onto him for the last 5 months in hopes that it would give him the opportunity to swoop in once he looked stronger and more manly in comparison. This stupid caveman mindset makes zero sense. This tampering has caused confusion and thousands of dollars in medical bills the past month trying to figure out what's wrong. We would not know any of this unless Diego had gotten way too intoxicated and outed himself and stated an admission to all of this via text. There's many more disgusting details that have been left out for the sake of privacy and general censorship. What a fucking plan. Wow. Lacing his pre-workout with estrogen. Well, he's no longer in the band, so Yarona fans, I got bad news for you. But I've got to say, that is creative. Another thing that could have been an option if he wanted to put the work in would be just going to the gym and working out harder to look more manly than the other guy, if that was the goal. Actual Disney supervillain, yeah, pretty much. Another option is just to find a single woman. No, you're off your gourd, brother. Find a different girl? No, that doesn't make sense. That just does not make sense. It's fucked up messing with someone's hormones. It can be deadly too. Yeah, I'm curious how much estrogen he was pumping in that pre-workout. Was there any effect? I don't know. They didn't say. So I don't know how effective the estrogen lacing was. They did not say. I'm assuming it wasn't like super noticeable changes or anything. I don't think it was like a crazy like shift or anything, since they didn't know until he admitted it, right? High estrogen can cause you to grow boobies pretty quick. You know, I'm gonna look it up. How long does it take to get some honkers cooking? How long did that go on for? What did they say? 5 months? 6 months? Would that be enough time for him to get a rack from it? How long does estrogen take to develop breasts? The Clinical Practice Guideline of Endocrine Society indicates that breast development starts 3 to 6 months after start of cross-sex hormone therapy. So he very realistically could have started getting some boobies in development there. Wow. He was probably like really confused, like, damn, I've been hitting chest so hard I'm getting tits. Fuck. These weighted dips are really doing a number on me. That's fast, though. I wouldn't have expected it to be that quick. And I guess it also depends on how much estrogen he was putting in there, too, because it seems like there's different ranges. So that man might be in a push-up bra right now and had no clue why. Thinking maybe he was eating too much edamame or something from the soy. I have no idea. A diabolical plan, though. Very creative. Oh yeah, I did know that actually. I forgot about that. Although the male body needs estrogen to function properly, high estrogen levels can cause health problems such as gynecomastia, erectile dysfunction, or infertility. The gynecomastia is a really interesting one. I talked about that not too long ago. You can actually lactate, which is wild. Man, imagine he goes to the gym, he's just fucking pumping and starts squirting. Like, he's like, oh my god. What are they putting in these protein shakes? Why did this happen? Because he wanted to steal his girl. So his plan was to get him all hopped up on estrogen and take his girl. Another Boeing whistleblower has died. What a weird coincidence that is, right? 2 Boeing whistleblowers dying under mysterious circumstances back to back in a matter of only 2 months? Man, that's peculiar, isn't it? Must just be really bad RNG. No reason to investigate that any further, I'm sure. So for those that don't know, being a Boeing whistleblower is more detrimental to your health than smoking cigarettes. At least the cigarettes kill you slowly over a period of years, whereas being a Boeing whistleblower kills you almost immediately. Like, skydiving without a parachute is safer for you than blowing the whistle on Boeing and all of their shadiness. So, a month ago, there was a Boeing whistleblower named John Barnett who was found dead with apparent self-inflicted gunshot wounds, the timing of which was really interesting considering he was at the tail end of an extremely important lawsuit that he was engaged in with Boeing. And according to everyone that knew him, he was extremely excited to be done with that lawsuit, and in fact, shortly before he was found dead, he'd actually told people that if he does turn up dead, just know he didn't do it to himself. Probably circumstantial evidence, that probably doesn't mean anything. Just don't think too hard and accept the shit that they feed you with the official story that he just decided while sitting in his truck to blow his goddamn brains out. That makes a lot of sense here. I stand by my assessment that John Barnett was assassinated by Boeing. I don't believe it's Boeing themselves, but I believe it's a couple high-ranking members within Boeing that are taking matters into their own hands and doing these things. It's the only explanation that makes any level of sense to this. So I made a whole video breaking down the evidence in the John Barnett case, as well as an entire Red Thread episode dedicated to uncovering all of the shadiness and corruption within Boeing. That company is fucked. Jackson, Windigoon, and myself went through the entire history of Boeing, and they are so corrupt it would make Umbrella Corporation blush at how evil Boeing is. It is shocking. So I really do think that these two whistleblowers were the victims of some kind of assassination. So let's talk about the most recent whistleblower. His name is Joshua Dean. I learned about it last night while playing Crab Souls, and well, it's not the real name of the game. The name of the game is Another Crab's Treasure, and it's a banger. But while playing this game, chat told me that another Boeing whistleblower had just turned up dead, and I thought they were memeing. And it turns out they weren't. They were actually telling the truth. Oh. Do you see the second Boeing whistleblower got murked? No shot the other whistleblower's dead. No shot. It's real? No. No, I don't believe that. Hold on, I'm looking that shit up right now. No! What? What? It's just in plain sight. Yeah, whistleblower Josh Dean of Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems has died. What? Another Boeing whistleblower is dead. 6 hours ago, yeah. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems and one of the first whistleblowers to allege Spirit leadership had ignored manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX, died Tuesday morning after a struggle with a sudden, fast-spreading infection. Oh, that's interesting. This time it wasn't bullet to the head? They're getting creative with their assassinations. That's crazy. This is the most dangerous thing you can be as a Boeing whistleblower. That's more dangerous than being like a fucking volcano lava taste tester. This shit, it's just in plain sight. His entire family stated he was healthy until after he blew the whistle. He lived a very healthy lifestyle and the illness was sudden and unexpected. Yeah, he contracted that. Stick it to the moniosis from Boeing. Joshua Dean was a quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems and was among the first whistleblowers to accuse Spirit leadership of ignoring defects on the 737 MAX, and he died shortly after contracting influenza B, MRSA, and then developing pneumonia. Now, for those that are unaware, Boeing has a history of just ignoring safety precautions and just hiding things. So in the previous case with John Barnett, we actually learned quite a few alarming things, such as there were times where scrap metal was used for Boeing planes in order to meet deadlines. They'd also keep things off the books as much as possible. They even used Dawn dish soap as a lubricant for the aircraft door seals at one point. Then they also used hotel key cards and wet cheesecloths to perform maintenance. Just an absolute smorgasbord of malpractice, at least in my perspective here. Of course, I'm not an aircraft specialist, but using Dawn dish soap and hotel key cards, that doesn't really seem like textbook protocol there. That sounds like something you'd read on WikiHow for a DIY aircraft maintenance at your own home for like an RC aircraft, not a fucking Boeing. So these gentlemen came forward to try and alert the public about what Boeing's been doing, or rather not doing, that they should be, and they've both paid the ultimate price for it. In my eyes, they're heroes for the work they've tried to do here. So being a Boeing whistleblower is basically like just taking a cyanide capsule at this point, it seems. It's just more of a matter of when, not if, you turn up dead, I suppose. Let's go deeper into the case of Joshua Dean here, because this one seems so blatant. His mother and stepfather described him as a health nut who rarely drank and attended church regularly. He started feeling sick around 2 weeks ago. He stayed home from work for a couple days, but things got worse. Sunday, April 21st, is when his mother got a call from him that he was really sick, having trouble breathing, and he went to immediate care, and they told him he had strep throat. She went to check on her son and telling him to call her if he felt worse, and he did call her a couple hours later and said that he was going to the emergency room and that he was scared because they found something in his lungs. He tested positive for influenza B, he tested positive for MRSA, he had pneumonia, his lungs were completely filled up, and from there he just went downhill. This was a stunning turn of events for Dean and his family because he was described as someone who was very healthy, he went to the gym, ran nearly every day, and was very careful about his diet. Quote, "This was his first time ever in a hospital. He didn't even have a doctor because he was never sick. But within days, his kidneys gave out and he was relying on an ECMO life support machine to do the work of his heart and lungs. The night before Dean died, Green said medical staff in Oklahoma did a bronchoscopy on his lungs. The doctor said he'd never seen anything like it before in his life. His lungs were just totally gummed up and like a mesh over them. Unfortunately, it sounds like Dean came down with a severe case of Boeing whistleblower lung, which is a serious medical condition that only affects Boeing whistleblowers in particular. It makes coal miners' lungs look clean in comparison. So I'm not surprised that this was the doctor's first time seeing anything like this, because typically a Boeing whistleblower doesn't even survive long enough to make it to the hospital in one piece. This fucking company is rotten to the core. Green says she asked for an autopsy to determine exactly what killed her son, and results will likely take months. We're not sure what he died of, she said. We know that he had a bunch of viruses, but we don't know if someone did something to him or did he just get real sick. In my unprofessional opinion, I think someone did something to him. I think the infection he contracted was Boeing hitman disease. I think he was poisoned. This is someone that took their health extremely seriously, and only a short period of time after coming forward with information about Boeing's negligent practices does he get extremely sick and then die, all in a short span of time, with something that doctors had never even seen happen before. That's a little suspicious. And this is the second whistleblower that has died under mysterious circumstances in 2 months? Wow, what a crazy coincidence. To me, this feels like someone or a group of people within Boeing is taking matters into their own hands and making an example out of these whistleblowers, because Boeing is a massive company with so many people in it. And thus, there's a lot of people that are privy to all of the shady shit that they've been doing over the past couple of decades. So, by sending this message, not so subtly, that whistleblowers don't have a long life expectancy, it makes people afraid to come forward with their own accounts. It makes more whistleblowers afraid to come forward. And I think that's the goal with all of it. That, at least in my opinion. Like I said, we did a full dive on Boeing for that Red Thread episode, and this company has been corrupt for a long time. I would not put it past them to do something like this. Maybe not the company as a whole, but at least a couple of bad actors within the company, at the very least. Now let's get into some of the things that Dean was alleging. So he had a degree in engineering, and he took his first job at Spirit in 2019, but was let go amid the layoffs during the pandemic. He then returned to work for the company as a quality auditor. He took the job very seriously and grew increasingly frustrated with what he described as a culture of not counting defects correctly, which is very commonplace when it comes to this. During 2 interviews in January, Dean said that Spirit pressured employees not to report defects in order to get planes out of the factory faster. This is something that John Barnett also said. Now, I'm not saying they don't want you to go out there and inspect a job. You know they do. But if you make too much trouble, you will get the Josh treatment. You will get what happened to me. That's what Dean told NPR. Dean was fired in April of last year in retaliation, he said, for flagging improperly drilled holes in fuselages. I think they were sending out a message to anybody else, Dean said. If you are too loud, we will silence you. Dean described what he saw while working for Spirit in a deposition for a lawsuit filed by the company's shareholders, who accused the company of misleading investors by attempting to conceal excessive numbers of defects at the Kansas factory. He was not a plaintiff in the case. In the shareholder lawsuit, Dean said he flagged a significant defect, misdrilled holes in the AFT pressure bulkhead of the 737 MAX fuselages months before he was fired. His deposition lays out a series of pivotal dates. October 2022. In his auditor role, Dean realizes Spirit workers misdrilled holes on the 737 MAX AFT pressure bulkhead, representing a potential threat to maintaining cabin pressure during flight. The lawsuit accuses the company of concealing the problem. April 13, 2023. Boeing publicly reveals learning of a separate defect related to the tail fin fittings on the certain 737 MAX aircraft. Spirit then confirms that defect. April 26, 2023. Spirit fires Dean, saying he failed to flag the tail fin issue. In his testimony, Dean said he told the company officials that he might have missed the tail fin defect because he had just discovered the problem with the bulkheads he inspected and was focused on that. August 23, 2023. Boeing announces it has found fastener holes in the AFT pressure bulkhead on certain 737 MAX airplanes that don't match its specifications, resulting in snowmen due to the multiple holes' elongated shape. It's the problem Dean flagged 10 months earlier. On the same day, Spirit releases a statement acknowledging the issue. The shareholder lawsuit accuses Spirit of concealing the bulkhead defect not only from investors, but also apparently from Boeing. It's important to note that Boeing is currently in talks to acquire Spirit altogether, and in the interview with NPR, Joshua Dean predicted it would be difficult to replace the experienced workforce that Spirit lost during the pandemic. The mechanics aren't as experienced, neither are the inspectors. We've just lost that. He then showed a little bit of optimism for the new CEO who was taking over, saying that he has the chance to be the new sheriff in town, and he closes by saying, "We need to make sure that there is no retaliation or intimidation. This culture of, you're too loud, you'll be moved or silenced, that's got to go." Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that culture went anywhere. In fact, they are silencing people in the biggest possible way, by making it so they can never speak again because they're dead. That is what it seems like to me. This is a problem that runs so deep with Boeing. It's in Spirit, their supplier, and Boeing itself. This is unacceptable. Like, the planes are in terrible condition. There's problems almost every single day with Boeing flights malfunctioning and having all kinds, like oodles and oodles of issues. It really feels like it's only a matter of time before a fatal incident occurs with one of Boeing's aircrafts that would have been entirely preventable if they actually just followed their own safety protocol and actually listened to the quality auditors and the people that are actually supposed to be performing maintenance on these things. It's so baffling to me that we've reached this point where they're so focused on just pumping shit out to meet deadlines that they don't really care if it's put together well. These are things that hold thousands of people's lives daily, and they're just shipping it out as cheaply and as fastly as possible while hiding as many of the defects as they can for as long as they can. That is frightening. Fucking frightening. And the people that are speaking out about it seem to be in an extraordinary amount of danger for some reason. Super weird how two whistleblowers just turn up dead under really interesting circumstances so close together. It just, the whole thing reeks of corruption. My heart breaks for the family and friends of John Barnett and Joshua Dean. Like I said, I really do view them as heroes. Whistleblowers are extremely important. To hold these companies accountable and to try and do the right thing is not easy. As that headline said, it takes tremendous courage. You take a huge risk. And unfortunately for these two, it seems like that risk cost them everything. It's super sad. And I really think that it's just right there in plain sight that Boeing has some kind of hand in it. It's fucking sickening. I think Boeing is an evil company. I think Spirit is an evil company. Like, this is just, it's craziness. It's fucking horrifying. So I want to talk about this a little bit. That's it. So yeah. It's shameful to admit this, but it's the unfortunate truth that just by looking at me, you probably couldn't guess that I have been active in the gym for about a decade now. In fact, my college degree is in human science with a concentration in exercise physiology. But I'm on a 5'6" frame and I keep myself lean so no one even knows that I'm ripped until I do like a flex and it ends up being a jump scare. I keep hyping myself up in the mirror and telling myself that today's the day I finally start wearing tighter clothing so people stop asking if I even go to the gym because it hurts my soul every time. Or maybe I just need to be shirtless more often so that way it's pretty obvious. But regardless, the reason I'm even mentioning this is because I've noticed over the last maybe 6 months, not even that long, but like the last 6 to 8 months, the gym has gone from being a place of like working on yourself, gains, you know, focusing on improving your overall health, to a place where people go to compete for viral TikTok videos of them being a victim. Usually the content revolves around them filming themselves working out and then catching somebody looking at them and being a creep and a weirdo, staring at them. Staring's a word I'm using very loosely here. And then sometimes, God forbid, that person comes over and asks them a question in between their sets. Normal human interaction has become fucking outlawed in the world of TikTok for some people. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a real thing. I'm not saying everyone that goes to the gym is an angel that can do no wrong. There definitely are creepy people that go there. I've certainly seen my fair share of weirdos in my days. In fact, one that always lives in my head rent-free is 2 years ago. A security guard at a private gym kept going over and sniffing a woman's ass as she was doing rows. I can't show the video, I don't think, because it might be against YouTube's new terms, but here's just a quick screenshot of his 4th ass-sniffing attempt where he's just, like, huffing her fumes. He eventually does get caught and fired for it. The point is, there are weird people at the gym, but what's going on right now is everyone is filming themselves at the gym, which I already think is kind of weird. There's also, like, this fucking perpetual surveillance here with people making fucking TikToks everywhere. But while filming, they're not catching weird people doing weird things or harassing them. They're catching very normal gym goers doing normal things and then publicly shaming them and embarrassing them for doing nothing wrong. Now I'm going to show you the biggest one that I really think started really blowing this trend up and led to me finding out how large this has become and how big of a problem it's become.
This is how to not approach girls at the gym.
I hate this. I hate this. I hate when there's weirdos. It makes me so uncomfortable. Feral, like fucking feral.
You can immediately see a problem here. She's making a stare counter every time the guy even glances in her general direction. What do you expect people to do at the gym? Just turn around and stare at a wall when they're done with their set like it's the fucking Blair Witch? Like, what are you expecting? The guy is in between his sets, so he's just looking around. He's not even staring at her. Now, if he was staring at her, then I could see being a little uncomfortable if he's just over there, like, you know, fucking staring a hole through with, like, goddamn, like, laser beams almost firing out. Like, I'd get that being weird. But this guy is just, like, glancing near her, and he's still getting just attacked for it by her.
Swatch. The 5 adds £5. And these are the rates.
Somehow the stare counter's at 5. I guess she's counting every time he's in between blinks now. And then she starts getting fearful because he's walking near her and wondering, questioning, why would he be doing that? Kind of like it's a scene out of a horror movie, like the boogeyman's, you know, you jingling keys trying to get in the door or something. But she immediately answers why he's walking over. It's because he's grabbing a sanitary wipe, showing good gym etiquette to go wipe down the machine he was just using.
Excuse me? You don't have to do that. It's okay. No, it's okay. I got it. Thank you, though.
Unfortunately, this guy made a big blunder here. He committed a cardinal sin. He tried to be helpful. So he offered to try and, you know, help out here because it looked like she was struggling, which she even mentioned she was hesitant to put the weight on, so he probably interpreted that as like, oh, okay, maybe I could be helpful here. Just being a genuinely nice person, I believe. And she even responds positively to it and then turns around and says this kind of shit. What if I just ripped his pee-pee out of its socket so he could never reproduce again? Totally normal, not alarming thing to say. This is why I don't want kids. Natural selection better take the weirdos out. He's going to jail for staring at an underage 21-year-old. Where have we all gone wrong? What's happened to the world where that is a statement said earnestly? He's going to jail for staring at an underage 21-year-old. There's more to unpack there than a fucking 2-week vacation suitcase. I could unpack this shit for hours. He wasn't staring. There's no such thing as an underage 21-year-old. 21 years old? You're not a kid at all. You can legally butt-chug Budweiser now. Unless this is some kind of weird self-own kind of thing where she has the mentality of a child, thus this guy should go to jail for what she perceives as staring at her. I don't know. Like, I can't even, like, remotely figure out what she was even trying to say with that last statement. But anyway, I'm not going to keep going too deep on this one because everyone has already dunked on it. She's issued an apology about everything. But I want to give a quick shout out to Joey Swole. He's a very prominent figure in the community and he's been doing a lot of good work calling out these kind of videos. Now here's another stinky video here. So this guy gets called out because he walks across the track she's about to do lunges on and looks at her on the way by. Then she says that she catches him still staring. There's no way, I'm so uncomfortable right now. And then the caption even says, in quotes, "It's because of your outfit." I don't know if she's accusing him of saying that, like he shouts it at her across the room. "Excuse me, m'lady. I looked at you because of your outfit. You drew my eyes to you. It's your fault." Or if she's just saying that as like a way of calling out behavior. I'm really not sure. But Joey Swole, when he talked about this video, pointed out something that I think everyone who's ever been to the gym will recognize. That not only is the guy not staring, again, the reason why he'd look at her while walking by is because he's going by her path on the track. So perhaps he was looking at her to make sure he wasn't getting in her way since she was about to start lunges. I feel like that's the most obvious explanation here, but regardless, he doesn't do anything creepy or weird. He looks at her while he's walking by, and once he's through, he continues going forward. Like, I don't understand where this is coming from. To me, it feels like this lady has recorded every single one of her gym sessions for the last week or so after noticing that this kind of content was blowing up, praying that someone would be weird and creepy to her, but she didn't get that. So she just decided to go with the one that's almost somewhat different, where a guy looks at her when he walks by, and chose that one for some clicks. Because nothing bad happens here. There's not a weirdo here. And according to Joey Swole, a lot of members of the gym, both men and women, said that this man is very kind and is actually loved at the gym. He's a regular here. So it is pretty fucked up and shitty for her to make this video trying to shame him for doing nothing wrong.
This guy.
Just filming my progress here.
What?
Just filming my progress. Oh.
I understand. It's just cool.
So if I'm going to go over there.
This isn't a trend that only women are doing, men are doing the same thing. This fucking douchebag is filming in the locker room, flexing to show his progress. The guy in the back that he's calling a schmuck is 100% right. You cannot be filming in the fucking locker room. Like, what do you think this is, Brazzers? Like, what the fuck are you even thinking? What's going through your smooth brain? Everyone just loves to think that they're the main character and everyone that interferes in their story and does more than just be a prop for their TikTok videos is the villain, when that's just not the reality. You are the bad guy here, not the guy you're calling out. If you want to take progress photos and videos, which I totally understand, just wait till you get home, or at the absolute least, wait until you're the only person in that locker room. Because right now you have two people behind you changing. They could have just gone whole hog, let their cock and balls flop out, and if you film them in a private setting without their consent, their nudity, you would be fucked legally.
Watch this guy try move to me at the gym. Checks absolutely nothing on his phone. Looks over at me being busy sorting my wrist straps. These fucking straps taking up too much time.
I don't know what constitutes a stare anymore. Like, this guy, again, just glances in her direction, briefly looks at his phone and puts it away, and apparently that's getting called out for being weird, saying he checks nothing on his phone. He could have just been checking the time. He could have been checking literally anything that's quick to get at a glance, like, what time is it? Or if he had a timer set up for, like, how much rest he has between sets, how much time do I have left on my rest? Like, there's so many things he could have been checking on his phone, but it doesn't matter. Like, he didn't do anything weird or wrong right now. All he did was walk by, and he looked over near you.
Makes a swift return. Sad lip.
And there it is. The second he decided to ask a question, his fate was sealed. He was getting shamed on TikTok for it. So, he comes over and asks if she's using the machine behind her. As Joey Swole also points out, and as anyone that ever goes to the gym will also point out, People like to check to make sure the machines are vacant. They don't want to step on any toes and take a machine that's already being occupied, so maybe her things were near the machine and he wanted to double check to make sure she wasn't using it in addition to doing the RDLs. Like, that is just being polite. That is normal gym etiquette. But let's assume this guy is new to the gym. She seems to think he is and is insulting him for it, making fun of him for not knowing the name of the machine. So don't you think someone that's a little new to the gym would like to be super certain that he's not getting in anyone's way? So he would like to ask someone that's near the machine to make sure that he has full reign to use it without intruding on their workout. He did nothing wrong, but it didn't matter. He made a slight glance near her, a split second of his eyes looking around before checking his phone, and that small, insignificant thing was enough to put a crosshair on him and for her to attack. I think she's the weirdo. You're the gym weirdo, filming everyone around you, looking for people to call out. That shit is creepy. Not this guy who just innocently asks if you are using the machine behind you. Totally normal question, totally normal interaction, and this behavior is getting so fucking out of control. People are turning gyms into war zones where they're looking at every single micro angle of your eyes and counting it as a stare if you happen to catch them somewhere in your general vision vicinity. It's fucking despicable. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this a little bit, and that's about it. See ya. I've become addicted to the wacky stories Inside Edition covers, and I've got a spicy one for you that's fresh off the press. This bun is straight from the oven. It is brand spankin' new. It's about a Secret Service agent who allegedly breaks into a hair salon to use the bathroom, and then leaves everything unlocked with an alarm blaring, which summons 2 more authorities to go in there and just kind of hang out and take some mints before leaving. It is a baffling story, and I use the word allegedly here, even though there's security camera footage that show her going up to the door, putting tape over the camera, and then going into the facility. The only thing that's alleged at this point is whether or not she left a floater or just took a pee.
And controversy over what happened at a hair salon near a Kamala Harris event in Massachusetts. A Secret Service agent can be seen on surveillance video covering up the camera. Then EMS workers were spotted inside eating mints from the salon and reportedly using the bathroom. But the question is, did someone break in?
If you ask a tiny brain homunculus, the answer is a resounding yes. I feel like there's no other explanation here, because she is on camera grabbing a chair in order to boost herself up so she can tape over the security camera. Who does that if they have permission to use the facility to take a shit? That doesn't make any sense. And I couldn't help but giggle very hard when the other authorities show up and just start taking mints with the alarms blaring after the Secret Service agent busts in here. What else could possibly be the explanation for climbing up and covering the camera if she had permission? Oh, well, actually, she's a very shy pooper, and the frequency of the cameras interrupt her circadian rhythm, and it makes it hard for her to shit in public, so she did this in order to block all of the infrared 5G so she could, you know, take a dump in peace. Like, there's just nothing that makes sense. There's no explanation for why the Secret Service agent would climb and cover the camera if this was all by the book. Just a standard handshake agreement that you can go piss and shit in my toilet.
That's a Secret Service agent on the porch of a beauty salon. The agent was part of a detail assigned to protect Kamala Harris when she appeared at a fundraising event in Pittsfield, Massachusetts 2 weeks ago. The salon was closed for the day. Now look, 2 minutes later, the agent returns and pulls a chair over. Then she climbs on top, tears off some tape, and covers the lens.
The Secret Service as a whole has been in some boiling hot water recently. Their reputation is worse than chickenpox right now for obvious reasons, like the Trump assassination attempt. Then we had the former Secret Service director make an absolute fool of herself at the hearing, a complete embarrassment, which then led to her stepping down from her position because she overdosed on cringe. And now this. The hits just keep coming. Now that's what I call music volume 55. This shit is crazy. And I'm not even talking about what came out of her ass. So the Secret Service is trying to make the claim that they had permission to be there, or at least they were under the impression that they had permission to be there, which I'm just going to say is a bunch of barnacles. That's some fucking horseradish right there. Nobody would cover the camera if they weren't doing anything wrong. That doesn't make any sense.
The beauty salon owner says when she opened her shop later that day, the lock on the door appeared to have been picked. And when she checked her interior surveillance camera, she found this shocking scene. The alarm going off and 2 uniformed women, one of them grabbing mints off the counter. A source tells Inside Edition that the women were not, repeat, not Secret Service, but apparently were among local first responders working with the Secret Service team.
I love how the alarm is just blaring this entire time, and these 2 authorities show up, and you expect they'd be like trying to figure out what's going on, like, who's the burglar? Where are they at? You know, the Hamburglar just came in here and caused mayhem and left a whole number 2 in the toilet. We gotta find the culprit. But instead, what they're doing is just taking some mints. I guess they were under the impression that the alarm was the mint alarm that was welcoming them in to just grab some mints.
So, why did they enter the beauty shop? According to reports, to use the bathroom. But even if they're not Secret Service agents, some are still blaming the embattled agency.
Secret Service agents broke in to that salon owner's place.
A Secret Service spokesman tells Inside Edition the agency has reached out to the beauty salon owner. Our personnel would not enter or instruct our partners to enter a business without the owner's permission.
Yes, of course. When I get permission to do something, I usually like to do it in the most suspicious fashion possible. So if I was invited to grab a necklace from a jewelry store in the display case, I would probably do that while wearing a ski mask and breaking the glass open with a big sledgehammer. What kind of fucking putrid drivel is coming out of their mouth with this? What do you mean? The lock was picked, she covered the camera, the alarm is blaring. How was there any semblance of an understanding that this was a completely normal interaction where they had permission to be there? That doesn't make sense. It's just a violation of this business owner's constitutional rights. This Secret Service agent didn't even need toilet paper in the bathroom because she was busy wiping her ass with the Constitution. This shit is so foul.
The president of the county ambulance service says the paramedics inside were using a bathroom they were told they could use by people in supposed authority.
How? The alarm is blaring. What did they think was going on there? A shardy party or something where everyone was just welcome to use the bathroom and the alarm was just to, you know, get everyone's attention that, hey, this bathroom is available to just wreak havoc on? How could anyone get the impression that this bathroom is totally open while the alarm is blaring the entire time and the business owner and nobody is even there to be seen? How do you get that impression?
We spoke to former Secret Service agent Jim Rathman.
Entering, using the bathroom, eating the candy, that part is not something that is normal and should not have happened.
Obviously, it shouldn't have happened. I can't imagine it's standard protocol here. No one's expecting the Secret Service agents to be wearing a diaper that they'll soil themselves in where they don't get bathroom breaks or something and they just have to hold it forever. But they're expecting some level of decorum where they can feel safe knowing that the Secret Service isn't just going to pick their locks to use their toilet. You know what I mean? A spokesperson reiterated that the personnel wouldn't enter or instruct partners to enter without owner's permission. They believed they had it here. They then offered to pay for damages, cleaning, or the business's private alarm bill. The owner said they were happy with the apology and it brought a level of accountability. However, they said, when they cleaned up, they left the tape on my camera and they left my back door completely unlocked. What could have happened in that hour and a half or 2 hours that you guys left the building unlocked? Which is a really good point. Yeah, thanks for doing the bare minimum of taking some level of accountability, even though you're trying to weasel your way out of just admitting that a Secret Service agent had the grumbly tummy and needed to use a bathroom immediately, so they picked a lock and broke in. That, to me, seems like the most likely explanation for all this, but I'm no crack shot detective or anything. But even with you offering to pay for any damages that might have been incurred by the business, it still fails to account for how much worse this could have been since the lock was allegedly picked and since there's still camera or tape on the camera. The salon was left without any defenses. Its force field was shut down from the inside here. It was just left completely open and accessible to anyone, as illustrated by 2 other authorities coming in and taking some mints. This could have been significantly worse for the salon here. It's just lucky no one decided to act while the camera was disabled and everything was unlocked. So yeah, just another Secret Service L here. That's really about it. So yeah. I just saw a video of a master thief in action, pulling off what is undoubtedly the heist of the century. Experts are already calling it a real-life Ocean's 11 moment. It took place at a McDonald's, with DB Cooper here tweaking and twisting on a Ronald McDonald House charity donation box, and you can just see the surgical precision. This is not his first rodeo. He's in and out in 30 minutes, super speed like a lightning bolt. Luckily, the footage was captured on a phantom 1000 frame per second camera, otherwise we'd only see his after image. It's currently unknown how much money he made off with, but it's no doubt a fortune. I imagine that it's probably close to $10 maybe, so this is one of the most impressive cases of larceny I've ever seen here. It was also captured on camera from 2 separate angles here, so we damn near have a 360-degree video that we can put together of this guy's absolutely embarrassing, degenerate scumbag behavior stealing from charity. So the employee is just standing there filming this whole thing, which is exactly what they should be doing. Intervening in something like this is very dangerous to the employees, so I know they're trained not to, and this should easily lead to identifying and arresting this man. I can see every goddamn fucking strained muscle in his face as he's cranking on this, so surely someone knows him and will report him. So Robin Hood here is stealing from those in need to give to the local crack dealer. For those of you that don't know, Ronald McDonald House is a charity that, from everything I understand about it, is actually a good one. What it does is it provides services to families of sick children that are having long hospital stays. So they have things like places for them to sleep, where they can just go and sleep for free while their children are undergoing treatment at specialized hospitals, so they don't have to like pay for hotels or anything like that. And from everything I know, they just provide a lot of really good services to families of sick children that are in the hospital. So to steal from something like that is unfathomably low. And sadly, it's not the only time this has happened. This guy here who looks like Meth incarnate is actually someone from my neck of the woods here in Tampa. And 3 years ago, he got nicknamed the Hamburglar. And what he did is he went on this rampage from Tampa to Wesley Chapel, going to McDonald's and stealing the Ronald McDonald House charity donation boxes. And it's assumed by authorities he made off with almost $4,000. There's so much footage of this piece of shit committing the crimes too, so he rolls up in his motorcycle and he always had this red jacket with him. It was like his magician's cape for his fucking vanishing act with the charity boxes. So everywhere he went to the McDonald's, he had this jacket with him. So here's footage of him going into a McDonald's. He makes a small order. I think he just got like a Coke or something, and not the Coke that he's used to. So he just did that so that way he'd have an excuse to sit at one of the tables, and he always sat next to the charity boxes. And he gets out his fucking bolt cutters here and just starts going to town. So he starts cutting away at it so that way he could free it. And you can just see in the camera footage here, there is almost no money in that. This was at the height of COVID when he was doing this, so there were even less donations in those boxes. Like, there is probably $5 or $6 there. He eventually cuts it enough where it's free. He throws on his backpack, he leans over to, I don't know, tap it on the ass or something. I actually don't know what he does right here, but he does one little maneuver there, gets up, he gets his red jacket out, and then here comes the big finale. He fiddles with his wiener a little bit there for some reason, maybe getting a semi-chub from all this adrenaline stealing from charity, and then bingo, bango, bongo, jacket over the box, and then he just lifts it off and walks out.
The place. This video is from yesterday in Wesley Chapel. It shows him making several trips to break the locks, holding the Ronald McDonald House charity box in place. Then he puts it under his jacket and walks out. Finally, he uses his motorcycle to pick it up and drive off. A few dollars richer, but a million reasons to be ashamed. Here's video of the time he stole from children who are sick in Zephyr Hills, May 26th.
That's how this disgusting fucking loser committed every single one of these crimes, with that trusty jacket by his side. So, what's crazy is, despite all of the footage that exists that clearly show this man's face, to date, I don't believe he's been caught. I was trying to find an update on it because the first video with the guy stealing the charity box reminded me of the Hamburglar here. And I looked into it and I couldn't find any updates on whether or not he'd actually been arrested. So I'm led to assume that he hasn't. Which is always so surprising to me when there's so much footage that exists of a criminal committing a crime and their face attached to it. I always just assume like, alright, dead to rights, your goose is cooked, buster, take this, goober, they got you now. But in reality, that's just not how it works. It's not like these are blurry videos or anything. It's not like Sasquatch photos. Like, you can clearly see the guy's face. And in my head up here. Like, when I marinate on it in my noodle, I'm always like, okay, so now they're going to easily be able to identify him. But in reality, that's just not how it works. It's not like the face is like an IP address where the second you see it, you immediately know everything about the person. But I guess the way I imagine it is if he has a criminal record, you could probably take the footage of his face and run it through some kind of facial recognition scanner through the database of the authorities and match it that way. But if he doesn't, if he's somehow squeaky clean, there's not a whole lot they could do with it, I guess. So I imagine in cases like this, you'd have to rely on people helping you identify them, because when this came out, the authorities were making posts like on Facebook and stuff saying like, hey, we need help identifying this individual who's been stealing the Ronald McDonald House charity boxes. If you know anything, if you know him, please contact us to anonymously tip us off with who this is. And I guess there's just not many people that know this guy. I imagine his closest friends are the rats at the dumpster at the Walmart he passes out at every night after shooting up. So there probably just weren't a lot of people who recognized him. Thus, I guess he's been able to get away with it, unless there's an update I missed, but I went to like the 3rd or 4th page of Google, which is, you know, that's fucking forsaken territory right there. That's a barren wasteland going that deep. And I was reading through a ton of articles looking for some kind of update on this guy, and I couldn't find it, so maybe I missed it, or maybe he just really did get away with it, which is such a fucking shame. This dude's still out there on his motorcycle, cranking his hog after stealing all of that money from children and families in need. What a fucking scumbag. This guy and the first guy who stole the charity box absolutely deserve to be thrown in the slammer, obviously. And I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I saw that video when a buddy of mine sent it, and it immediately reminded me of this previous case. It's also clearly not desperate people in need of money that are stealing these charity boxes. Like, this guy was riding around on a fucking motorcycle, and from what I can tell, a pretty expensive motorcycle at that. So yeah, just terrible pieces of shit. That's really about it. So yeah. I went over to my family's house for dinner a couple nights ago, and my father was raving and couldn't stop talking about a case I'd never heard of that apparently has just wrapped up. The Alex Murdaugh murder case. And in fact, it extends beyond that. The entire Murdaugh family murders. This is a very high-profile case that I just hadn't heard of until my father started lecturing me on it like I had just taken a criminology course. He apparently followed every single piece of evidence that dropped. He watched every trial, everything. My dad studied the tits off of this case like he was going there to prosecute Alex Murdaugh himself. And it piqued my interest. It made me want to learn more about it. So I went to the best goddamn channel on YouTube for things like this, Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle recently made a full, beautiful breakdown going over every single piece of evidence and every single key point in the entire Murdaugh history. So I'm going to put a link to that in the description, but I just kind of wanted to share it with all of you because this is one of the more deep and disturbing cases I've learned about in quite a while. So I just wanted to share kind of the gist of it with all of you, but I highly recommend watching Legal Eagle's video on it if you want to learn the most about it and see how everything unfolded. You see the Murdaugh murders. So my dad just told me about that. I didn't know anything about it. And he was apparently embezzling money for a long time, a pathological liar, an oxy addict, and he snapped and killed his son and wife. My dad was telling me all about it, apparently. Or, not apparently, my dad was telling me all about it. Apparently, it was a wild case, and I didn't hear shit about it. Yeah, apparently the prosecutors had a video that the son had recorded that proved that Alex Murdaugh was lying about his whereabouts on the night of the murders. So I guess the story was they were killed at like the dog kennels on their property. Alex Murdaugh claimed that he wasn't there that night at the kennels, and he had like a couple alibis because they had his whole phone record. Apparently he called a ton of people to try and get a couple alibis. And eventually the prosecutors showed a video that his son had recorded literally minutes before he was murdered. His son he killed also got in a boat accident that killed a girl named Mallory Beach, and also was the only witness to his housekeeper dying, and he embezzled her life insurance. Oh, what the fuck?
close, Los Angeles area double murder expert O.J. Simpson predicted that the Alec Murdaugh jury would acquit the Low Country lawyer of double murder. It turns out that Simpson's powers of prognostication don't really work for murders he wasn't directly involved in.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least if this guy beats this case.
So before I explain...
It's crazy. It is crazy. We have O.J. Simpson on Twitter dropping reaction videos, giving his opinion on how another murderer could potentially beat their case. That blows my mind.
Randolph Murdaugh Sr. was elected solicitor in 1920 and served until he was killed by a freight train in 1940.
Sounds like a murder. That sounds like an actual old western murder where they tied him to the train tracks. Don't know the situation, it literally just sounds like he was murdered.
Now, some people suspected that the freight train incident was a suicide because no one could figure out why Randolph's car stalled on the tracks. But Murdaugh Sr. was succeeded by his son, Randolph Murdaugh Jr., known as Buster, who held the position for 46 years,
cool
from
nickname.
1942. On 2 separate occasions, 20 years apart, he told jurors that if they didn't impose the death penalty on a criminal defendant, he would use his power as solicitor to release other rapists into the community. Yes, you heard that right.
What?
It's hard to imagine a worse thing a prosecutor could say in court, but I'm sure prosecutors have.
And he got to keep the position? He would make these threats like, okay, if he doesn't get the death penalty, 5 rapists will go into Gotham. He sounds like the Joker. What? Elected official, so he just campaigns and pays off the right people. Yeah, but I'm sure there's still systems in place where if you're threatening to release rapists out of like a grudge, you can get fired. Like you can get like taken out. Like you lose your position, I would think. Because it was the 70s. It's not like rape was cool in the 70s either. I'm sure people weren't like rallying behind him like, yeah, that's fucking Buster right there. That's how Buster plays. Give the death penalty. Or 50 rapists. Buster, release 50 rapists into the neighborhood. The guy really had rapists in the queue to join the server. Oh, you're talking about Buster still, yeah. I'm just going to take a guess that the other Murdaughs didn't use the same tactic.
Alex Murdaugh, the now convicted murderer, is Randolph III's son.
All of this information is to show you that the entire Murdaugh line is fucking evil, basically. Now that you're brought up to speed on where Alex Murdaugh comes from, let's talk about his kids, because his kids are no saints. Legal Eagle goes into more detail surrounding some of these cases, but I'd just like to give you a quick breakdown. If you want more information, obviously watch his video on it. But one of Alex's sons, Buster, who is named after, of course, Buster Murdaugh, who came before him, is actually a person of interest in a 2015 death. A young man named Stephen Smith was found dumped on a Hampton County road. There wasn't a whole lot of indicators to suggest that this was a vehicle crash, and in fact was even ruled a homicide by a couple of people, most notably the county coroner. And interestingly, Buster Murdaugh is mentioned dozens of times in the investigation. Also, Alex Murdaugh and his brother Randy visited the crime scene, passing through the crime scene tape, and there were rumors that Buster Murdaugh and Stephen Smith were in some kind of relationship, and this case actually just got reopened after the entire Alex Murdaugh investigation. So that's all a bit peculiar. That doesn't seem good. Something smells very fishy over there with Buster Murdaugh, and he's not the only one. In fact, Alex Murdaugh's other son, Paul. In 2019, Paul and his friends were partying on a boat. At one point, his friends say Paul and his girlfriend got in an argument where Paul assaulted her, and then eventually the night culminated with the boat crashing, everyone surviving except one person, Mallory Beach. Paul was blamed for the death because he was fucking driving the boat. He received 2 charges, 1 boating under the influence causing great bodily harm, and 1 boating under the influence causing death. So as you can see, the Murdaugh family is known for more than just financial crimes. There's a lot of death linked to the family as well. And there's still more. There's still one that I haven't even talked about, one that happened before Alex Murdaugh killed his son and wife. In 2018, their housekeeper Gloria Satterfield allegedly tripped over one of their dogs and fell down the stairs and died at their hunting lodge. Alex Murdaugh then instructed Gloria Satterfield's sons to sue him for insurance money. However, he neglected to inform them that he had already collected on 2 settlements and basically robbed them of about $4.3 million from the insurance here. The man is just pure evil, just a shriveled, pruny, fucking ghost-looking motherfucker whose entire bloodline seems cursed and is nothing but bad news. It is disgusting.
His lawyer said he planned to sue Alex and Maggie personally, because they allegedly kept a beer refrigerator at the hunting lodge and underage kids were free to drink up. Given the scale of Alex's financial crimes, discovery of his assets would have revealed years of Murdaugh's criminality. Later that same night, Alex allegedly found Paul and Maggie dead outside the kennels at the Murdaugh's sprawling hunting estate.
I'm really trying to break this down into the most concise form possible just to convey like the general story of the situation, but again, I can't recommend checking out Legal Eagle's full video on it for the absolute best breakdown. In a nutshell, years and years and millions upon millions of dollars of stolen money and financial crimes were about to be brought to light, all of which Alex Murdaugh was panicked about. So, the main theory behind his motive for killing Paul and his wife Maggie is he needed some way of buying time to weasel his way out of this situation. I shit you not. The murder of his son, Paul, and wife Maggie, right now the leading theory is he did it for sympathy, to portray himself as a victim, and to basically just buy himself some extra time to get out of the situation because all of these financial crimes that have built up over years were about to be fucking blasted publicly. All of it was going to come to light. So that was his plan. Now, Paul was murdered before he ever stood trial for the death of Mallory Beach. But I'm getting a little ahead of the story because there was one other baffling situation that occurred involving a hired hitman that Alex himself hired to shoot and kill him so his other son could get his insurance money.
So Alex admitted to stealing from Chris and blamed his behavior on an opioid addiction. And then hours later, that same day after that conversation with Chris, Alex was shot in the head. Yes. Seriously. Does this seem like a far-fetched Netflix series yet?
So, now we're at the part that I know. Everything that preceded this, fucking wild. No clue. But now we're getting into the part that my dad was talking about, and now I'm kind of in the know on where all this goes. Chat just educated me about this, so I have the spoilers here. But I guess I won't drop the spoilers. But I see now what has happened and how things have got to this point.
Yes, but I mean, I'm okay.
Alex later admitted that he hired his cousin Eddie to shoot him. So Alex's remaining son Buster could
get the life insurance.
$10 million life insurance policy. But apparently cousin Eddie wasn't up to the job because the gunshot wound was
National
just
Lampoon
that temporarily blinded Alex. Eddie would also turn out to be Alex's oxycodone dealer. Alex later admitted that he stole from his law partners and clients to fund his addiction to painkillers. According to
Hold on, then my dad's calling me about the Murdaugh shit that I just sent him with this. Hold on. Yeah, well, did you even know about all of the Murdaugh shit with his family? Like how his son is most likely responsible for deaths as well?
Yes.
You
and his son that, like, was in the boat accident.
Yeah, the boat.
Yeah, the whole deal. I mean, yeah, I know all the background of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then how he tried to set up, like, his own...
Yeah, I just got to that point. Cousin Eddie to, like, a hitman to shoot him for the life insurance policy for Buster.
Yeah, and then they fucked that whole thing up.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew any of that because you didn't mention it. That shit's crazy.
Well, see, that's why I haven't been playing any games. I got so into this shit. I'm like, I can't stop. It's like, see, that's why I said this is 10 times better than the goddamn O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely wild. I had no idea it was like so deep reaching.
I know. See, that's what I'm telling you. So you think it's pretty cool, right?
Well, cool is like probably a weird word to use for it, but like it's fascinating. Like it feels like it's some kind of crazy movie. Yeah, he's really into the whole Murdoch shit. He got like encyclopedic knowledge on this whole thing apparently. He didn't even mention the family stuff, so I thought that'd be news to him. Yeah, no, this whole family's rotten. Although I haven't heard anything about the mother, so maybe she didn't do anything terrible. I have no idea.
For violent schemes.
Real quick though, was his plan actually to die? Like, did Alex Murdaugh hire cousin Eddie, goofball McGee, red-blooded patriot, fucking wild maniac to come shoot him and kill him? That's wild. So his plan was actually to die. He said, come shoot me in the head. And then he survived. He's like, damn it. Time to change plan. Wow. Hey, a lot of things can be said about Alex Murdaugh, but God damn it, he gave it 110%. This man was ready to literally kill himself so that way his son could still have some fucking cheated funds. $10 million life insurance policy.
The drug dealer. The trial's biggest bombshell was an unsent Snapchat
yes,
video.
This is the one that my dad was talking about.
Alex told police he had last seen his son and wife 90 minutes before he found their bodies. Several witnesses testified that they could hear Alex's voice in the background of the video.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Come here. Did the Snapchat video influence Alex's decision to testify on his own behalf? Almost certainly yes. The very first
yeah, and I think that is very clearly his voice in the Snapchat video. Very clearly.
Alex did on the witness stand was fess up that he lied about being at the kennels. Alex admitted it was his voice on the video.
Were you in fact at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you?
So then he absolutely just admits to a lie right there. I do want to point out, this man's got some wild hair coloration here. This looks like a weird slider in a Dark Souls creator. He looks like a French fry with like some cheese sauce on the top. That shit is going hard.
You lied to Sled Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th.
I did lie to them, and I'm so sorry that I did.
Other than lying to them about going to the kennel, I was very cooperative in every aspect of this investigation. When Alex's brother Randy overheard Alex trying to bribe a nurse to let him use her phone, he thought it was suspicious. And brother Randy called the police and the story began to unravel.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sled sketch artist. And spent...
Man, this guy just straight up looks evil. He looks actually soulless. Those are some hollow, empty devil eyes right there. 100%. Sometimes people just look the part.
But in an earlier interview with investigators, Alex had actually implicated his groundskeeper. He also told the jury that someone angry about the death of Mallory Beach committed the murders. These inconsistencies undermined Alex's credibility. Then there's the mess with Alex's financial crimes. The prosecution argued that Alex's financial crimes couldn't be separated from the murders because exposure of his vast financial crimes was one of the motives
speaks to his
for killing
characters.
Maggie and Paul.
Well, not only that, I imagine that also helps to demonstrate, like, make a character profile, right? I don't know if that is actually something that's usable in court, but doesn't that also serve to poke holes in the credibility since all of these financial crimes hinged on a bunch of lies and embezzlement and all of that? Or is that not allowed?
Every single one of these, you had to sit down and look someone in the eye and convince them that you were on their side when you were not.
Wow, that's hardball.
Do you remember even one of them?
If you ask me questions, but I can't remember sitting down with Dion.
Alex's response? What I admit is I misled them. I did wrong, and that I stole their money. What Prosecutor Waters was getting at was this. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Alex Murdaugh is sitting there and looking at you in the eye to convince you of something, but you shouldn't believe him. Just look at how he lied in the past.
That's strong as fuck.
That all of his financial bad deeds were caused by his drug habit, which was costing him as much as $60,000 a week. As for the weapons, prosecutors said casings for bullets from a .300 Blackout rifle were found near Maggie's body. And the Murdochs owned a rifle chambered in .300 blackout, and the weapon is now missing. Alex also couldn't account for the clothing he was wearing on the day of the murders. His clothes had never been found. His mother's caregiver testified that after the murders, Alex tried to remind her about what he was wearing.
I guess it's easy in hindsight, but I feel like even if I was in the court as this was unfolding, the second it came to that point, both of those in conjunction, I'd be like, well, he fucking did it. What kind of coincidence is that? Oh, so they were killed with .300 blackout rounds. Oh, you have a weapon with .300 blackout. That's a weird coincidence. Can you bring it in so we can just make sure like everything's, you know, all good? Oh, it's missing. Well, what happened to it? Oh, you don't know. Oh. Okay, well, what about your clothes? Can we, like the clothes you were wearing on that night, maybe they picked up some forensic evidence from the real killers. Oh, you lost your clothes. Are you telling me a burglar came in the middle of the night while you were sleeping and took the fucking clothes off your back? Even your dirty goddamn undies, he took them? Oh. Like, what the fuck? This is outrageous.
The speed of the jury's verdict, just 3 hours of deliberation after a trial lasting a month and a half.
That's a gold split.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah.
The day after the verdict was read, Alex Murdaugh was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences for murdering his wife and son.